Okay. Yeah. There's a big conference going on this weekend up by New Ulm in your area. You know about that one?
Yeah, I'm planning on being there with Jonah Bai.
Yeah. I just got the phone with Douglas, and we're trying to get a computer set up because we didn't have Wi-Fi connection. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, good evening, everybody. This is Tommy Dwayne, student Tommy Dwayne. Hereby at all times claiming, retaining, and invoking all rights, powers, privileges, remedies, immunities, and defenses as one of the people of Georgia and beneficiary of the Constitution of the United States of America. How's everybody doing this evening?
Great. Good to hear you. It's been a while.
Great. Yes, it has. I noticed you guys said that you were going to be attending. I think I heard the mention of Jonah Bay and somebody else or whatever. What you guys that are going to be attending that? What do you hope to accomplish? What is your objective, if I may ask?
You want to go first, Doug, or you want me to go first? Well, there's a different process. So I guess a lot of them up there are having results with, I don't know if it's exactly the transfer title, being a holder in due course with the so-called title or the trust, the birth certificate. Not really too familiar with everything. I myself, I don't know if you remember my one here, Tommy, that was at the Red Pill and still kind of twiddling my thumb, so to speak, over that 5-day event, but I'm just still hoping to get into the right status.
Well, you know, well, here's the deal, and I often give more information than I intend to because I like to have the foundation pretty much set, because then it all makes sense, because every time I tell you something without there being foundation laid, it's like I have to continue doing, taking a step back, doing something remedial. I want you to know, all of you all who are attending this call, and I will say this, and I say this emphatically, and I can not only am I making a claim, but I can back my claim up 100%. And I challenge any one of those guys. Jack Smith was my first teacher when I was dealing with right way law. I've heard stuff that someone, can you all put yourselves on mute? And please, I think it's star 6.
Oh, Tommy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, this is William. I just wanted to, do you think you could maybe back off the receiver just a little bit? We're getting a lot of
okay. Well, how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's much better. Much better. Thanks.
Yeah, I have the mic too close to my mouth.
Yeah, that's
and what I'm saying to you is, this is not a personal attack on any one of those, whether it be Winston Shrout, Jack Smith, Jonah Bay, Boris, or someone needs to mute out, please, because we're picking up a lot of background. Star 6, please. Okay, and I challenge every one of them on the processes that they're offering you guys. They aren't giving you the historical perspective on what's taking place, and by not doing that and having not done that, their processes are flawed in the beginning, in the premises. If you are seeking to be free, I want you to know you already have every power. You have God-given unalienable rights that you have not been taught how to assert them. And if you remain in the proper jurisdiction, that is in harmony under the laws of nature and nature's God, they can never defeat you. All of these processes that they are recommending to you, they lack the proper historical perspective. You're being told a bunch of stuff, but yet nobody's producing source material. And the thing of it is that they will go and read to you Minnesota Statute 220 or 202. What don't you understand about it? That is a statute. It is color of law. And that rule, basically what it says, it doesn't give you any authority. All it merely says is the registrar can take that document, if accompanied by an affidavit, that she can process it. It doesn't say that it gives you any authority, none whatsoever. And we go back, as I gave you guys some words, those who would listen to the previous calls, I've given you some words to look up in Black's 4th and Black's 6th. Why did I do that? I did that to show you the two different jurisdictions. There are two systems out there, and you have only been taught to be familiar with one. Because if you knew about the other system and how to stay there and how to assert that which God has given you, they could never win. They have to get you to abandon. And the way that they get you to abandon those God-given unalienable rights and those which are constitutionally protected is by getting you to enter into a contract with them, therefore circumventing the Constitution, and that allows them to escape their oath of office to protect the states, the several states, and the people who are on or the people of those states, because all of the power is derived from the people. But if they can get you and they use one of your most important rights, that's your right to unlimited contracting or not to contract, that's what they're using against you. And every time you fill out a form, it is making a declaration. It is basically saying, I am abandoning the republic. I am rebelling against God. I am choosing and I am making a request, or I'm giving you notice that I am entering into your system. Now, we talked about the birth certificate. Now, that birth certificate is evidence that property has been abandoned. That's why they make the mother the informant. She's also considered to be a consignor. And we talked about consignor, consignment, and consignee. We talked about shipping, receiving, and delivery. So if you go through that process, if you just look at the word delivery, and you look at the consignor or the shipper, and what a shipper does is they fill out a form or they obtain what is called a bill of lading. A bill of lading is a contract that is put in place for the delivery of the commodity or the property or whatever. Now, that mother comes in when she's considered to be a vessel. Think of what's being created when dealing with United States. Think of it as being everything that it deals with are vessels. So she pulls into the port of entry, which is the hospital. Everybody should know that your hospitals are ports of entry. Okay? And the consignor makes an arrangement for the delivery of the property, which is given anthropomorphic description, tells you height, weight, and size, and tells you about the mother, maybe the father. There's a receiving agent. There's called the delivery. And once the agent, who is the doctor who delivers it, that berth or that vessel is taken to a berth, a B-E-R-T-H. A berth is a parking place within the port of entry where the vessel is moored, where it is tied down. And once the bill of lading has been signed, evidencing that the property has been received, that is a receipt which shows title. It shows that it was delivered to state of. Now, nowhere in that document, and the thing that is being transferred with that bill of lading, which is also known as a certificate of birth, okay, is the child's future labor. He is pledging his future labor, nothing else. He's merely saying, I am going to be I'm pledging my labor. And if you look up what a pledge is and you look up what abandonment is, and in that contract, you all should know, when you're entering into a contract, what is not specified therein is excluded. And nowhere in everything in that document that you've seen, all the information has been taken. It says nothing about the child, his birth prints, or whomever is going to pledge their labor for the future debts of that entity, that vessel that has an all-cap name and an account number now that has entered into the Sea of Commerce. That's what they mean by birth date. That's when you officially, or that vessel officially enters into the Sea of Commerce. It has nothing to do with the living man. Only thing that the living man is capable of doing is acting as surety, pledging his labor. So now that system, once those notes and everything that are created, those securities, you talk about the DTC, it tells you who the participant is, and that's typically state of. It's state of X, which means it is a administrative subdivision of United States, which is a federal corporation. It's there at the top of that document, which is the highest form of evidence, especially when you take it to get it authenticated. You present that, and you are basically saying that I am trustee. I am the person who's responsible for the debts, all of this. And all you do is when you give a signature as your so-called, you many know, authorized representative, all you're doing is saying yay or nay to the charge. That thing was created to make money and to pay off the debts of the bankrupt or commercially insolvent United States of America. It is designed to have you to pledge. It is designed to rob you of your labor. And many of you talk about, well, there's money being generated off these accounts and I can claim it. Do you not understand what money is? Money is not Federal Reserve notes. You're paying for it. In that system, it's about dischargement. It's about paying off something in the future. You're not getting gold and silver. That is money. You're not extinguishing the debt. And why is it that you're not? And when you don't extinguish the debt, you cannot take full, complete, or loyal title. Okay. Now, I didn't say fee simple absolute. Fee simple absolute means that you, for a fee, have use of the property. This is why when you have an automobile, you pay registration fees. You must have insurance showing you that the trustee is always responsible or always has the liability. And then nowhere in that document, now in the beginning of the contract, when all this was going down, and this is what we call conditions precedent, and this is why in the Uniform Commercial Code, it tells you, barring prior agreements of the parties, the UCC will apply. Meaning if you don't have an agreement in place, then it automatically defaults to UCC. Now, there have been some who've been using a birth certificate, so they say they got some cases to go away in court. Okay, who gives a shit? It doesn't make you free. The system is just going to continue to attack you. And because all of the conduct, the birth certificate, going and getting it authenticated, which is really not needed because it already bears the seals, which means it's already self-authenticating. And when that is presented and to anybody, I've already heard this 15 years ago, several years ago when Condoleezza Rice was in office, first came into office, she told you whether if there's a birth certificate, whether long or short, if someone presents that, they are U.S. citizens. So some are going in and say, well, we can go in and we can reverse the process. Nowhere in the original contract, when all this took place with the birth certificate, when the child put his footprints, which is his seal, which is also like a signature, pledging his future wages, nowhere in that contract does it say that you have authority to do what it is that you're trying to do, reverse it and put it, whether it be digits or whether it be credits or what have you not, nowhere does it says that you have that kind of control because you're not the one who placed it in the DTC. It was the participant, and as either the state of X. When I say state of X, I didn't say the state of, which means the definitive article, meaning the original. I said state of, meaning another state or a type or a variation. They're the ones who put it there. And there is no money because if, let's say, so what, you're able to get some credits. The bottom line is when it comes down to it, if you buy land and you go through the land registration scheme, don't you understand? It's being registered. It's showing that this has been enrolled into the corpus of the trust called United States, and anybody uses those things that they have made or created is deemed that you're in commerce, and it's deemed that you are seeking an increase, and you are responsible for its management. That's why when I spoke to a woman out there who was very headstrong in terms of taxes. She talks about the 16th Amendment, and she says all that she knows is all right. None of that means shit. You can walk around with a gold star and smack dead in the middle of your head, and you can go right out there, regardless of where you're from. If you're saying you are more under the Treaty of Marrakesh, or if you're under that treaty and you think you have protections, you do. But the minute you go and sign a contract and you enter territorially to the jurisdiction where that contract was created, where all the activities taking place, you are subject thereto. Now, what cases do we have? There's International Shoe, there's Ashwander, there's all these cases telling you that if we can establish minimum contact, you're in. Now, you have these people out here saying, oh, we got the EIN number. No. You have EINs are strictly for tax purposes. It has not a damn thing to do with diplomacy. And if I were you all, I will look up that term diplomacy in blacks and in the 4th and in the 6th or 7th and just see how that term is used as a word. Nowhere does that EIN is basically said as an employee identification number, and they're saying if you are exempt, they are providing you, they have made that determination. That determination can be changed at any moment. Because when you're operating in the democracy, they have plenary powers, unlimited powers to do what the hell they want to do. And so today you may have that exemption, but they may change the rules on you, which is not the case. Okay? You're dealing with an entity. Everything is done by a transaction basis. You all heard me say the object of the game, if you want to win, the winning move is not to play the game at all. You have power. I mean, a tremendous amount of power. If they had the power to just come in and say, okay, this is done, if they had those discretionary powers, they would do that. They already know that you're in the republic. You just don't know that you're in the republic. They are trying to get you to bite of the fruit from the forbidden tree. They already know this. So that when they have to go and be held accountable, they just pull out the contract and say, well, here is the application, here is the documentation, here is a declaration requesting to partake in our system territorial to the United States. So in other words, they just take their finger and put it on their nose, and give those 4 fingers to God, saying, I came at them. They did on their own voluntarily will. They chose to come into the world and bow down to me. And I told them I would give them all their eyes could see. Well, what are their eyes seeing? They're seeing the appearance of reality for reality. I'm telling you, if you know who the hell you are, where you are, and what you're dealing with, they could never defeat you. So the object of what I'm saying, this class, which will probably go for 2 weeks, or if I feel that you haven't got it, I may go. But because it's too much information to try to, do over 3 days and say that's it. I'm not here trying to fleece anybody, because if that was the case, I could have done seminars and stuff like that long ago. And I am not looking for everybody. okay? I don't want to be involved with the patriot idiots. I want you to understand that this is a group. I don't want the information being spread out here where people can take it and corrupt it and not know what the hell they're doing. When you walk away from these courses, you will have the confidence to know that, damn, this is really simple, and it doesn't require me to do all of those processes that they're recommending. And those processes that they're recommending is just like giving you a book, a chemistry book. You have never taken chemistry in your life, and all of a sudden you're going to the last chapter, and now you say, oh, I got it. Without having studied the previous chapters beforehand, you don't even know the damn periodical table. So if you don't know the periodic table, how in the hell can you begin to even comprehend what's being discussed in the book? And in the case that I'm showing you is the words and the language. Each of them may have the same word, but they are in different planes of jurisdictions with different meanings. And if you don't understand that there's two systems, I cannot pound that into your heads enough, that there are two systems and you're not supposed to know about the other system, because if you do and you know how to handle your contracts, all of your conduct, the personam jurisdiction, the subject matter jurisdiction, the venue, the money, is all outside their territory. They only have jurisdiction, which is called insular jurisdiction. It's all insular. It cannot go outside. It only deals with those who are residents who make application to come in. That's just how simple and how deadly it is. Now, with the court situations, people saying, well, we go into the court and we put in this kind of paperwork and it went away. How about once you get through with them one time and it goes on a record and they know who you are and you've established and you told them that they're bound by the oath to protect you, because when you go into their court system and you don't invoke your law, you don't invoke your law form, and you don't know who the hell you are, they're going to run over you because you just said that, hey, they have the jurisdiction. You just said that basically you are the surety for this transaction that's about to take place. All they need pretty much is your signature or you to say that you understand. But the simple thing is to do, if you know who you are, invoke who you are, that automatically activates your law form and your remedies. And they can't tell you, no, that's not you. They have to get you to create the paperwork, which is evidence against yourself. And then they say, well, this is you. You filled this out, did you? And you're going to say, yes. You can't gainsay it. You said this is who you are. This is your political will. You wanted to be a U.S. citizen. You're taking benefits. So therefore, we are going to do whatever is necessary to make sure that the debts of the United States is paid off. Now, even if you are using this birth certificate approach or you're using Boris's approach, whatever that crap it is, all I got to say is, where is it occurring? It is occurring in their jurisdiction. They have personam, subject matter, and venue. And if they have venue, basically what they're saying is they got a statute where you breach, and now they have a statute which they can make a claim upon, and you're going to go before that jury. You're going to go by that jury trial, a trial by jury, not a jury trial, okay? Because the jury is just sitting there as an advisory, as an advisor to the judge, who could always overturn it because it's called the territory of the judge. You might want to look that term up. And what I'm trying to show you all is that these people are coming with these damn processes, and they're not giving you the foundation. They're not giving you the historical perspective. They're not laying the foundation. They're not telling you how to use the language. They're not telling you that even though you could be standing 3 feet in front of me, they don't realize that that person who has the gold fringe flag on, and many of you know on the side of the cop cars and even on the football fields, they have this flag with the gold fringe on it, which is saying this vessel, and if any of you know who the law of the flags is, if you know what that means, they're saying that this vessel flying under this flag is under the United States, a federal corporation. They could be standing 3 feet in you, but if you know who you are, you've never left the republic. You're on the soil. They cannot even engage with you unless you fail to say something, you fail to, you remain silent, or you make some use, or you place your signature on something, it is deemed that you are in it. So a lot of this stuff, if you knew who you were and you reserved your rights right up front and you told them who you were, don't give them your name. You got to give them shit. You want to say, I'm one of the people, and I'm invoking all my rights, and I'm this according to the Constitution, and hearing no objections, let the record reflect. Well, what did I just say? They didn't say anything. They didn't say that you weren't, because they can't. Because you just presented evidence as to who you are. You just presented evidence as to who you are, and so therefore, hold on a second, I got to put somebody. And therefore, they cannot produce evidence. They can only use the evidence that you created. How about you don't create evidence? How about you and I, if you want to sell me something, how about everything is territorial to the United States, time, place, space, and plane, and money, venue, jurisdiction, and subject matter? How in the hell can they make a claim? Because when I do my contracts, it's without the UCC. It specifically states no UCC. And if they operate on UCC, and your contract says no UCC, and everything is external, they have no say-so. And even to come in there and try to mess with obligation of contract, that in itself is deemed treason, because they are messing with one of your God-given private rights. They are injuring your rights. So all these processes about claiming the afterbirth and all that is, I'm telling you people, it is, I will tell every one of them out of no disrespect to them. I have great amount of respect for Jack when they're talking about the black card, all that shit. It's all commercial. And what they're doing, whether they're doing it intentionally or not, they know that the promise of potentially having money at the end of the rainbow, which is what most people think, that they got money, that they're free, and they think they got plenty of those Federal Reserve notes in the bank, that they're going to be okay. It means nothing when the bankers determine that you no longer can pay. So what they do, each time there's been a bankruptcy, the banks have basically incurred on the sovereignty of the corporation because they couldn't pay. So finally, when they think they have everything in place, the New World Order, they're going to foreclose. Don't you understand that Corporation Canada, Corporation France, Corporation England, they're all under the same thing. They all belong or under the banking or under the International Monetary Fund, which is under United Nations. And so whoever's the head of United Nations, which is a holding corporation, says foreclose on the world, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have one system. And the reason why they're able to do what they're doing is because you don't understand signature, silence, and use. It works both ways. If you say who you are and you know who you are, they can't say no. So when they go silence, what they're saying is, I acknowledge that you are who you say you are. I recognize you are sovereign. I didn't say sovereign citizen, sovereign. Okay, you are where power emanates from, and I'm limited by this trust document called the Constitution of the United States of America. And more importantly, only authority that I have in relation to a state or one of the several states is outlined in the 17 enumerated powers. Anything outside the 17 enumerated powers, I am prohibited. Okay? If it's not included, it's excluded. But another way is for me to get at one of the people is have them to contract directly with the United States, the corporation, which has its own territory, which is under the exclusive legislative jurisdiction of Congress. That's where the sovereignty is. And what I'm saying to you all, this is not a personal attack on these guys out there. They are not doing you all justice. They're not laying the foundation. And I have another question for you. What the hell are you going to do when the system goes through a metamorphosis? Because it can change the rules to the game anytime it so sees fit. And so whatever little success that you think you're having, and what if they change the law and start coming after you for something like that? How are you going to defend, or how are you going to go on the offense? Is any one of these guys teaching you how to do that? And I know emphatically, it's emphatically hell no. You already have the gifts. They're just hoping that you have loss of legal memory, that you don't know what it's all about. If you look at the Black 6 or Black 7, you look up common law, it will tell you that there's a residue. They're telling you it's not completely gone. It's always there, but no one has basically knows how to activate or assert. But we can't wipe it out. They already know that it will rule if you know how to activate it. Okay? And when Tim Turner was talking about Restore America, America's already been there. That in itself shows you that Tim Turner didn't know who the hell he was. And I can show you the documents because I got his court cases. But once the foundation is laid and you see this, you'll be able to determine right off the bat from the foundation that you have received whether these people are giving you BS or whether they're sincere. Anytime, and the only thing I have, the problem I have with Boris's approach, I didn't say with Boris, I said with his process. He's saying, let the system take care of you. God created it. No, he did not. This started in 1913 and stood there for 20 years. Nobody said anything, so it's presumed that everybody wanted to be in a democracy. God had nothing to do with that. God never told you to take unlimited liability. He said you are to be totally liable for what it is that you do. That's how you keep things in check. He told you not to use unjust weights and measures. You were told that Moses said, I'm leaving you, Pharaoh, let my people go. He didn't say, I want to integrate with you and continue in doing your foolishness. He didn't say, Abraham, take your family down to Sodom and Gomorrah and just join them and have a picnic. You have all these signs, and they want to use these as scriptures and tell you that it's ordained. That's BS. I mean, where in the hell have they been doing their reading? And I'm just telling you, I'm not being arrogant or anything of that nature. I know that what I teach and what I stand on and what you will come to know, they can't defeat it, and they know they can't. They absolutely cannot. You have to be a sovereign is one who has to be informed and know how to do this. It's not complicated. Someone approaches you, if you understand that there's two systems and it's presumed that everybody's in it, and you express your will that you're not, and you have some other tools to go with it, you understand exactly how it works, you're not going to play their game. If you don't play their game, they sure as hell can't come and try to play in your arena because it's called treason. That's why the television programs, the school systems, they said, the school is not accredited. Accreditation has nothing to do so much with the quality of the school. It has to do with the level of programming. It has to do with the education you're going to receive to perpetuate the system, which is a legislatively created statutory commercial enforcement system. It's a big-ass collection agency. Now, I beg anyone, and they will tell you, well, we should be able to, no, you don't play in that arena. You don't go over there. When I talk about Adam and Eve, it's expressing something to you allegorically and metaphorically. You're talking about jurisdiction. You can't have two masters. It's just not going to go that way. And you see that all throughout. So when someone comes and tells me, oh, God put it there for you, I'm really have to wonder, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you an agent or what? And the way the school is, why I said is a school, because there's modules are being taught, and I understand, and even those who went to the seminars in Arizona and in Ohio where I presented, I just kind of scratched the surface because I didn't know the character of the people that I was dealing with, and I was not about to reveal, the things that I know to put in there. But those of you who are in Ohio, you heard Jack Smith say when I played an audio tape, he says, I don't know if you know who that man is on that audio tape. He says, but that man's IQ is off the chart. And they do some very cutting-edge things, and he is of the think tank. How is Jack able to say that? Because Jack and Rick Schramm went up to see the very person who taught me over the course of 15 years. They are aware of it, okay? Now, I'm not questioning his intentions, but when somebody keeps telling you about the DTC and the black card, and then they're going to tell you how you're going to use the black card, well, if they're going to tell you how to use the damn black card, what does that tell you? You don't have no full control of it. It's just being used to generate paper. At the end of the day, people, when you see it, it's all to rob you of your property and your labor. You are just a owner, and most people don't understand what owner. You know, you want to have something in a laudium. You want to have complete, unfettered, perfect title. Okay? Not where you got split title or anything like that. And the reason why I never really, and as you all will go along and as you stick, and I'm Joyce and Ben, they have worked with me, and they'll tell you I've shown them some things that cannot just be put in anybody's hands. And I'm not saying this to blow it up. It comes with responsibility. That's why it was so long for me to decide. I went through great consternation before I decided to even, to do a school or even to do classes, because this comes with a great deal of responsibility. Did you understand what I said? If you know who you are, they can never defeat you. And I'm saying this, if you know who you are, one could possibly go out there and commit a crime and not even be prosecuted. But don't you understand about two systems? One was set up and created to serve the other one. One is supreme. One has the supreme law of the land. It's called the Constitution of the United States of America, not the United States Constitution. So you have to understand that they have this play over there with characters. I'll say this once again. Think of a play on Broadway. In that play, it has a title called United States. And in United States, there are characters in that play. And the script for those characters has already been written and is referred to as statutes. You, the living man, speaking through the mask, the person, which means to speak through a mask, because back in the day, I would say back in the antiquity, when they did plays, they would just put a mask over their face and speak through it. That was called a persona. So what they're saying is the script is already written for the character. All they need is an actor to animate, to give life to the character. That's what you're doing when you're entering the contracts. And they're telling you, we got the EIN. EIN number has not a damn thing to do with diplomacy. And they could change the determination at any time. Is everybody clear on that? And I say this adamantly, and like I said, it's not ego. They cannot defeat what the hell I'm telling you, because they lack the historical perspective as to what occurred historically. They talk about Saint Germain and the trust and the Dionysus. I mean, man, please, none of that. None of that shit was discussed when the United States was coming together. You had the so-called founding fathers. None of that. And if you're talking about the Catholic Church in the United States, it's talking about any relationship that they have or any interest that they may have or any stock that they may have in United States to a corporation, that may be. But it has not a damn thing to do with me as one of the people on the soil within the territorial boundaries of Georgia, one of the several states of the Republic. There is a difference. And like I said, in this class, if you come in and you think I'm going to spoon feed you, you think you're going to come here and not do any work, you're wasting your time. And Frank, I really don't want to be bothered with you. I don't want that. Because if you can't stand up, it's not, once you stick with it and you just follow and you have an open mind and you let me lay the foundation, all the pieces will come together, and then you'll begin to see, well, it's been right before our eyes. No, you never saw it because you have everybody running at you with a damn process. A process. a process. Your remedy has already been there. You already have a court. Even though they said Article 3 courts are gone, no. It's the plaintiff who sets the damn course, or who sets the court. And how does he set the court? By basically invoking his law form, and that basically deal with what is your nationality? Who are you? And once that is stated, then they understand that your remedy is not under U.S. Constitution. It's under the Constitution of the United States of America. Okay? Not where the jury can nullify a law, even if it is a law. The jury hears all the law, determines all the facts. The magistrate merely acts as an referee. When you go into the United States, you have no rights. You're a citizen, subject, slave. The sovereignty is in the Congress. They have basically given the magistrate authority to do what he's doing, and he can rule any way he so sees fit. And you know he's going to rule against you because the objective is to collect money and to rob you of your labor and incarcerate the so-called fiction that committed the crime. But since you are seeking to act as surety, they want to collect your labor or your money or so-called money and both for you do time. If you learn that you're always in the republic and you learn how to assert your rights, you know how to do this, like with automobiles, registration, all that stuff. They can't compel you to do that. If they could compel you to do that, why did they have you filling out the damn application and giving up your signature? You are voluntarily pledging your property there. If you got everything in place and you give them notice, and they have notice, and they don't take steps to protect you, and they confiscate your stuff, and you're smart enough, you know how to handle that, they know that you go to risk management. And if you show risk management where you've already given them notice, and you hit risk management to for a large sum of money because they really don't want it to go to court because the cat will be out the bag. And then risk management is going to tell them, you need to not have anything to do with this man here, because if you do it again and he hits us or gets out of the box, we cannot insure you. We cannot insure your bond. We cannot act to do all these things. And then not only are they in violation, committing treason to you, now they have moved against someone who has placed himself in the protection of God's jurisdiction. I'm not just talking about the republic. See, I have issues with the republic myself because of the things that were done. So I'm going all the way back to the jurisdiction of God under the laws of nature and nature's God. See, I'm going all the way back to the original jurisdiction. I'm talking about the original jurisdiction, OJ. Okay? So anyone, and if anybody on this call, you think you can defend, if you think you can defend it, the call is wide open. You're well enough, you can say what you wish, but don't come on here quoting me no title, no 26 USC, none of that shit, because it is, and excuse me, I have to use this language because some of you just don't get it. I can try and reach you on a professional level, try to coach you, try to pat you on the shoulder, try to gently tell you you're not getting it, so I have to pull out the damn bat. Don't give me codes and regulations. Those codes and regulations are only insular. It's telling you insular, and that means that corporation and all those things, they have jurisdiction. And they could come down on you, and it's a transaction by transaction basis, if you understand what I'm saying. You're not free. They want you to think that, so you keep going in. And even if you're able to do something, and you're still using Federal Reserve notes, if you're using Federal Reserve notes without protest or without a reservation of your rights, you're taking the benefit of dischargement. You're still in it. You're just like a rat in a exercise wheel, but a little bit, to even give a better explanation of that, you're like a rat in an exercise wheel that has eaten a little bit of raid. And when a rat eat raid or decon, it makes their blood real thin and their heart pumps real faster. So you can imagine them in an exercise wheel, having bitten or taken in pieces of decon. And I'll tell you this, and every one of them, and I challenge any one of them to tell me that what I'm telling you is incorrect. They can't defeat what I'm saying. It's not a personal attack on them. I'm just telling you, open your eyes. I got documents that I will show you. I will show you. If you look at your certificate of title at the top, even for automobile, it's the same process. It says at the top of state of. And when they issue the national ID, what they're saying is you won't be able to partake in their system. I have a whole series of videos that you're going to see that gives you an overall view of what's going on, which will help you make the connections. Because when they go to the national ID is going to describe you as U.S. citizen, someone who's responsible for the debts of the United States. And so when they make their move, you show that ID, they already know. You're in. You are already in. So these people are telling you these are remedies. They are not remedies. That's all they are is processes.
Well, when you're already in, Tommy, not to interrupt you, but is there any way to so-called exit?
Well, did you not hear what I said? You're always in the republic.
Okay.
You're only there when you say you're there. Or if you don't say you're there. And the whole problem, what I'm trying to show you is when I show you that, you're going to know how to say you're not there. Not just be an affidavit. Affidavit is just only an aspect of it that deals with your identity. That's for right then and there. But a declaration, when properly structured and the contents are there and you know who you are and it's put together, it speaks for the future. That's why the country is called else. Exactly, because what you're doing is you're determining your political will. One of the rights that God gave you that they cannot do is they cannot take away from you your political will. But if you don't know that, if you don't know that you have a right at any time to express your political will, they got you. Don't you understand that's what expatriation is all about? If you couldn't leave the United States, it's also when you expatriate, you're admitting that you were there, but it tells you that when you choose no longer to be, they cannot stop you. They get you to fill out some forms that saying you no longer want to be a U.S. citizen, but because you were there, they can say, well, you're still responsible for taxes up to 10 years. How about I was never there? How in the hell are they going to prove that you were there? The only way they can prove that you were there is for it to come out of your mouth, and you have created evidence against yourself. Is that making sense?
Yes, it does.
If you don't give them the evidence, there's nothing they can say. They have to get you. That's why they ask you, what do they ask you when they tell you to pull over? Insurance and driver's license. And what does that say? That says that I'm somebody who've abandoned the republic, who's rebelled against God. I'm in your system, and I'm interterritorially. I'm receiving a benefit, and I will bend over as far as you want me to, and I'll take it with no Vaseline.
Yeah, I know that's very true because I went down to driver's license. I was on a temporary restricted license, all stuff off. I got a 9-year-old boy, so I have to do what I got to do so the popo don't pull in here or cruise by out here. So I got to get him point A to point B. First thing they asked me, United States citizens. I said, no, I'm not. Oh, and they just went berserk. So you got to have something that says other. Well, they wouldn't. So when they wanted me to sign, and they wanted me to give the legal name, and I wouldn't give the legal name. They says, well, we can't give you a license. Well, that was just right there.
And and the thing of it is, absolutely, because here's the deal. But when you know who you are and you know what your rights are, you have a right to liberty. That means your locomotion cannot be not interfered with or hindered. And when you tell them who you are and you're the beneficiary of their Constitution, and that means you are of a higher law form. It also shows that you're not in their system, but because their cops don't understand the planes of jurisdiction, if they hold you or detain you, they have just violated your private right. And that's a very, very serious offense, and they know that. So knowing who you are, because they want to enter into a contract, you're going to enter into a contract handling everything from the beginning of the contract, not going to make use and then try to put in your remedy. You're putting in your remedy up front. Then you make the use, not the use that they think you're making. You're executing your God-given rights. And so when you say that and you hold them, you say, damn it, I'm sovereign. Here's who I am, and you cannot prevent my locomotion, nor can you compel me to apply for a driver's license because most people don't understand what driving means. They don't understand what all those terms mean. They're getting you to admit when you fill out a driver's license that you are in commerce and that you are using the public byways for profit or gain. It's the same damn thing when you go in the grocery store and you pay sales tax. They are assuming that it's for profit, it's for gain. Why? Because you didn't say anything. And if you do say something, you have to know the language in order. You have to know time, place, space, and plane of jurisdiction on how to say it so that they know that they have to back up. And see, what happened is not only is it because of the oath that they've taken, but it also shows that they are coming territorial into God's jurisdiction, his territory, to run their commercial scheme, and they know that they can't do it. So if they get caught red-handed, there's something to pay. But if you give them notice, you're giving them notice because it's presumed that if you don't say anything that you're in it. So when you know all these things and you give them notice and you tell them to instruct them in a certain way and know which office to go to and put it in the computer, and when their employees pull it up, and it tells them, do not stop, do not detain, because you have taken care of everything in the premises. You put your remedy in place before you went out on the highways or so-called byways. You know, they already know when they check their computer, I don't give a shit. They're not supposed to engage you at all, because if they do and you have proof, they stopped you or detained you for 5 minutes. Because in your law system, there's no such thing as no probable cause. That's only in the democracy. It's not in the republic. In the republic, they must have a sworn-out affidavit or complaint filled out, and it must be a warrant issued from your court, not theirs. Their court does not have any effect on you in the republic. Don't you understand? Everything about their system is insular. That's why they have to attract you and get you to come insular. Don't you understand? That's why they're not moving on these people out there with their processes, because they understand you are just a rat in the maze. You're just going down another rabbit hole within the matrix. Now, if anybody think, and I'm giving you a challenge, so you all want to call Wayne and tell him he's on my coattail and blah, 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 blah. Now, this is the forum. I'm giving you an opportunity. Bring it forth and let's deal with it. Defeat what I'm telling you. Those who are big components of all this crap that they're running out here, all this premises, they're flawed in the premises. Right now, we're on open air. Bring your arguments. And don't come with this stuff of pulling it, emotion. Show me some facts. I'm giving you court cases. I'm giving you the history, and I can prove my point 100% and then over. And this is just what I'm sharing with you is just the head of the iceberg, just the very tip of it.
I have a question.
So, okay, go ahead.
Pardon me?
Just go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay. I'm curious to know, you keep making reference to court cases. Is there a date on when you use court cases so they're not part of the same U.S. territory?
That's a good question. That's a good question. That's why we talk about, when we said that there's two systems, there are two different planes of jurisdiction. That's a good question that you ask. That's why I have you to look up terms in Black 4th and Black 6th, 7th, or 8th, because Black 4th and everything pretty much before then represents republic. And what those words mean, and as they're used within the context of that time, place, space, and plane. Now, when you use the 7th, you're dealing with the democracy. So this is why in 1948, in their court cases, they typically do not deal or cite cases prior to 1948 because it's of a different time, place, and plane of jurisdiction. You see, and this is why when you do things, if you do cases after 48 or around 48 in 1933, they say you got mixed and multiple jurisdictions. So when you know what your jurisdiction is, and you're citing cases that refer to your time, place, space, and plane of jurisdiction, all they're going to do, they're required to kowtow. And if you're in a court situation where they've dragged you in there, and don't give your name and don't enter a plea, the first damn thing that you do is invoke who you are, where you are, and you're telling them that the only thing that you have assented to was the 17 limited enumerated powers, and you deny that they have any authority outside that or any law can be written where they can come territorial to one of the several states and mess with you. And when they don't say anything, when the judge doesn't say anything, then that's when you say, hearing no objection, let the record reflect. Because what you've done is you just express your will. And they are not accustomed to people expressing their will. Go look at any cases. Go look at some of the cases, the earlier cases. You'll see, like in the 1800s and a little bit later after that, you'll see where they always says, and this is why I told you all in one of the recordings, I told you to go look up little Annie Oakley and how she was suing people. And the first thing it says, Annie Oakley, citizen of Oklahoma, which means she just told you who she is, where she is, and she just invoked her law form. If you go look at a case today, very, very rarely does it say that at all. It never mentions that. So you're absolutely right. When you understand that there's two systems, this is what people can't understand. I hear even senators, I hear even your top-notch attorneys, they talk about this. They talk about probable cause. If you are in the republic, which you're always in the republic, don't ever forget that. And because you want to have your remedies in place, and this is what I'm trying to show you. Lay the foundation, understand what's going on, put your remedies in place, and then do your thing. Because once they touch you, you don't have to sit there and try to explain to a cop. I'm here in Georgia. I'm 6'2", 215. Do you think I'm going to be in Forsyth County, Georgia, trying to explain to some cop on the side of the street about constitutional matters?
No.
You're absolutely right. So I know how to control that. I don't have to rewrite the document, but I know how to control that document with my signature in certain words. And once I get out of there, I know how to make my appearance without never showing up in their courts. And when they see everything that's done there, there's nothing they can do. They just drop the whole matter. Because what they're trying to do, even if you're right and you handle things right on the curve side, the idea is to get you to come to court and submit to general jurisdiction, where the judge now is a sovereign and you're the subject, and they're going to rule against you. Where if you never go there and you challenge them, which is called a direct attack, they've got a problem. What they'll do is they'll yell and all that stuff and try to put on a scene for those who are in the peanut gallery so that they'll never, ever discover what the hell is going on. So I'm saying to you, those who really want to know what's going on and not be confused and be in a position, that's why I referred you. You heard me talk to Joyce, and even the little time that I've been spending with Wayne is on a call. He can tell you just the things that I pointed. He's telling you. He's not my cheerleader, He's not my cheerleader. He's merely following instructions. Because at the end of the day, when I get through drilling you and showing you the examples and showing you where everywhere the flaws are, or when you've given a foundation, I'll give you the examples and I tell you, you tell me what you see. And if you're working in a community, as many of you know, after I did the seminars in Arizona and Ohio, I was there to act in a supportive manner, okay? And because I was trying to get everybody to start working with each other, because when you wrestle with it, everybody you start getting on the same accord. And I can say, I don't think that Ben or Joyce would disagree with me, but over the period that I worked with them, we absolutely had fun. Of course, probably for I would say maybe the first 6 months we didn't, because I guess they thought I was a maniac. but anyway, we had a lot of fun, and that's the whole thing. Is I think God has blessed me with the ability to take it and put these things in layman's terms, and I make it really palatable for the layperson, so that you won't have to sit around and hold my hand. I give you what you need. You get the confidence, and then whatever you don't have, you go to God for it. That's what this is all about.
So I have another question.
Yes.
And that is, if you had all this knowledge, why did you spend so much time with David Clarence?
Well, I didn't spend a lot of time with David Clarence. Okay, David Clarence, someone introduced me to David, and I was listening to his calls, and I was making some assessment. I was really trying to see before I really came to some conclusions. I really was trying to examine it. I had always had problems. Wait a minute, I had always had problems with it.
Yeah, she's talking to the baby.
I had always had problems. I had always had problems with David Clarence, and I expressed that to him. And anyone who saw me in Ohio and saw me in Arizona, I gave specific instructions on what I felt that you should not do. So I was not with him a long time. My process has always been, they've always told you to come from the state, and I've always told you that there's nothing higher than the office of man and woman, and that you have your remedies already in place. You just haven't been taught how to use it. And it's called that Constitution.
Can I say something on that too?
Okay, because what you've done is, well, you're saying, well, it's a trust. Yes, it's a trust because what you did is the people who came before you, you are one of the people in posterity, and what those agents have is they have the rights and the power that you have given them. That's your property. That's what you have entrusted them with, and therefore they are the trustees, and you're the beneficiary. And so the indenture is the laws and stuff that are written within the Constitution. That's the instruction as to how the trustee is supposed to carry out the trust. And when he doesn't, you call him on it, and either he comes in line or he's not in office or he's committed treason. It's just that simple. You don't need all of these damn processes and to spend all this money and you get no results. Go ahead, Wayne. I'm sorry.
Sure, this is Wayne speaking on the Republic, and I did want to mention that Tommy was attempting to entertain a lot of these ideas on these rather boring equity group calls we were on, and David was such in a combative mode, he would take things off tangent. We could never really explore issues. So that's generally what happened on these calls, and that's when I wasn't with the group but maybe even 6 months, and I just saw problem after problem with his personality, so, and others. So.
And we will discover that in class. I'll show you David's paperwork. I'll show you his court cases.
I came home from Ohio very upset with the weekend. So no, that's why I asked. And so to say that you were assessing him, that's a good answer. Oh, I understand.
Yeah, and see what he wanted to do. David was scheming all along. See, most of you guys I'm going to say this because you need to know this. You understand that David, when he gave you all this stuff about him going, and he was doing things, and honorably he went to prison or he went to jail. Did he ever tell you what he went to jail for?
Negative.
Forgery.
No.
Assault. He also had charges of
I'll say it again. He went to jail for forgery. He pled guilty to forgery.
Well, I was sitting right next to you in Ohio, and all I know is David was never there, and you were always there and carrying most of the class.
Exactly. But see, that was his whole plan to say, I didn't get much sleep that night because he had no material. And if you notice, when I came in, he came in during my presentation, he was trying to piggyback off of what I was saying. And see, for David, it was just going to be a whole big trip for him. He was wanting to go all throughout the country and have everybody pay for it, him and that raggedy-ass camper that he was in that only got 7 miles to the gallon. Now, what in the hell do you look like carrying something that gets 7 miles to the gallon across the nation when you could have had just several places? And a lot of things that David was doing, he was speaking on behalf of the equity group. Let me tell you, the people in the equity group had no idea what David was doing, but he was trying to make it appear as if it were elite. And you heard him often say he was just a promoter. He was even in Arizona. He was in Arizona when he said he wasn't in Arizona. He was just hoping that everybody could clear out, that he could come in and collect the money. But there were still people who waited on him that were able to stay behind, and they still got nothing. And the reason why I went silent is because those who went there, there was only a few who said something. And I was like, I'm not going to put my neck on the line for those who attended and have enough damn guts to say anything. So I just went silent. And I didn't want to get into that because I don't want to dignify, because the man's a damn fool. He's an idiot. And so, and even if you look at Trent Saylor, you look up his records. Trent, they all knew that what they were coming was BS, and they were there to collect the money off of you guys. And when I voiced that opinion in the equity group. That's when he started attacking me, and Trent said nothing, and he wanted to try to get me kicked off of the equity group, which was really a blessing for me. And I was, because I never, when I first got on there, I was like, David Clarence asked me, he says, I don't think you're going to be with us long. He already knew that. But what he wanted to do, he knew that I had the research, and he wanted to promote me and, use that. So because he always used to say, well, Trent can teach something, I can teach something, and you can teach. I said, well, I'm not just teaching something. I got 25 years of shit that I've learned, that I've gone through blood, sweat, and tears for. Many of these courses I paid $5,000 a shot for it. Went to Walla Walla, Washington. If you think I'm lying, ask Jack Smith how much he paid for his course when he went up to Walla Walla. Okay, and he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So he knows that I'm not lying. And you guys were there who were in Ohio. You heard him say that man who's on that tape, his IQ is off the chart. And he knew what he was talking about. And so, exactly. So the point of it is that I look at it, I say, after all this, I don't have anything against Jonah Bay and all these characters. They tell you we got that EIN number. It's for tax purposes only, people. It has nothing to do with diplomacy. If it did, each and every one of them would have a diplomatic ID. Now, if anyone can tell me they got a diplomatic ID that's been issued from the Secretary or the Department of State, okay, I'd be happy to see that. But then you still deemed to be in commerce, wherever you are, because if you're talking about diplomacy, that's talking about negotiations. I don't know if Wayne has a definition there, but it's talking about the negotiations between countries. Now, how in the hell is that all-cap birth certificate or whatever it represents, how is that from another country?
Tommy, this is Joyce.
Yes, Joyce.
Could you clarify, because I and Wayne have been in these conversations with you at great length and we understand what you're saying. Can you clarify for the audience exactly what you mean when you say it has nothing to do with diplomacy?
Well, okay. Well, that's what I was trying to explain. Bring up the definition. What I'm saying is when you get an EIN number, when you make a request application, you're requesting something. And based upon what you're saying you're going to do, you're saying that there are certain uses that you're not going to be doing. And so based upon your conduct as an entity, you're saying that I'm not going to be involved in these commercial activities, so therefore I should be given immunity when it comes to taxes. It's the same way, you've heard of a 501c3 church and you've heard of a church that's unincorporated. Well, the 501c3 gets an exemption. Well, a corporation sole is properly done, or a church is under 508. They don't have any say-so. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have no say-so when it comes to 501c83 or 501c13, whatever I think it is. They have no say-so at all because it's an exception. And what I'm trying to show you all, if you know who you are an exception, not an exemption. You don't need their permission. So when we talk about diplomacy, we're talking about how the countries are going to deal with each other in terms of trade, and how you're going to deal with each other in terms of each country's officials, and in the event that there is a crime or something being committed, or how the police or the local police or how the federal government is supposed to deal with someone who has diplomatic immunity. And they typically are given an ID, diplomatic immunity. They're given a diplomatic ID, and you give that ID to the cop, and they're told to, okay, boom, he has diplomatic immunity, or they call a certain number, and that's it. But Internal Revenue Service has nothing to do with diplomacy. It is strictly for employees, employee identification number. That's why it's called an EIN. It has nothing to do with diplomacy. Well, how about you? Well, you are foreign to it because that's what the contract calls for. The legislature in the United States, the corporation, must only deal with those that in the territories. And those territories are those corporations known as state of X, state of Texas, state of Oklahoma, not the state of. They're two different things. It's the appearance of reality for reality. That's how they're getting you. They make you think it's the same. But how would you know? Because you're brought up in the school system that perpetuates that. Remember, there's only the residue that's left. Okay? And many don't know about that because you have what is called loss of legal memory. So when we say diplomacy, we're talking about how government officials how country officials deal with each other. They typically have an agreement as to how they're going to deal with each other on certain things. Now, can you please tell me how in the hell can getting an EIN number give you diplomacy when that entity has never had a constitutional convention, has never declared to the world that it's going to be a country, has never been recognized by the so-called rest of even the commercial world as being a nation? So how in the hell are you going to have diplomatic immunity? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's all BS.
Would you like me to read the word diplomacy?
Please.
This is in Black's. I'm going to read you Black's Law and then just give you a quick synopsis of Black's Law 7. Diplomacy, the science which treats of the relations and interests of nations with nations. Negotiation or intercourse between nations through their representatives, the rules, customs, and privileges of representatives at foreign courts. And then in the 7th, loosely, it pretty much says the same thing. It gives other definitions like shuttle diplomacy, secret diplomacy. Those are still, but it does also say loosely foreign policy, the collective functions performed by a diplomat. That's pretty much what it is between both.
Now tell me, if they haven't put in any documentation, or they haven't expressed if they haven't expressed their nationality, and they haven't made a declaration as to what, and the declaration speaks for the future, you haven't done any of that, it's presumed that you are in the democracy. So if you haven't done any of that, you might win on that one transaction, but the system is going to continue to come after you because you haven't done. Conduct is things done and not done. And it's not the things that you've done, it's the things that you haven't done is what gets you. You go silent. That's why they always ask you for your driver's license insurance. They want you to produce the information that they can rely upon. You're admitting that you're one of theirs, and what they're saying is, we now have probable cause. And the probable cause is we thought that your right blinker wasn't working, so we have a right to pull you over because when you registered the automobile, you gave us the policing authority, you gave it to us, you turned over legal title to us, you have equitable, which is use, and it's legal title that controls, but they let you have it in your possession, so you think because you got it in your possession and you got use of it, that you legally own it. You don't. Your ownership is fee simple. It is not absolute. So that's why they say, well, since we're making money off of registration and we put this property up, in terms of try to back the notes that we're going to borrow or to back any Federal Reserve notes that we're going to borrow for the banks, we got to keep it up, keep the property, and keep it in tip-top shape so it doesn't lose its value. So that's why you got to have a building permit because you may make they feel like you may put something on that house that property that may decrease its value. So what they want you to do is get a building permit and do all the other things to generate money to pay off the national debt. That house has gone through escrow, and you better believe, and through mortgage company, you have signed some documents where you have pledged that to state of. And that's why you're paying the fees. If you look up fee simple absolute, and you look up title interlodium or absolute title, you'll see that there's a difference. Fee simple means feudal, feudal, or it means fealty. You are paying a fee for a benefit. That's where the term fee comes from. Go ahead.
I have two questions from that, but if you're going to say something, that's okay.
Go ahead.
All right. The first thing is, you said that they're not, the corporation isn't even a government, so how can you have diplomacy when there is no, there is no government on the other side, you know? And then, exactly. and then number two is, if you entered into contract with them and you didn't have full disclosure, and when you're in court, you don't know what the hell's going on because you're not getting full disclosure, can't you just ask for full disclosure while you're in court?
Well, my thing would be I'm not in their court. My thing is, this is who I am. Who the hell are you? What jurisdiction? You see, you're doing a direct attack by asking questions. I don't give a shit about full disclosure, but what you're trying to do is give them full disclosure by asking them questions. And when he says statutory jurisdiction, you're like, well, what the hell does that got to do with me? I'm on the soil. I don't know of anything called a statutory jurisdiction. It's either common law, equity, or admiralty.
So you're coming in. You come in and you describe yourself as a man, right?
No, you're not describing yourself as a man. You're describing yourself as one of the beneficiaries of the Constitution of the United States of America. And the way that you do that is you say, I am one of the people of the state of Georgia. And by doing that, that automatically puts you into position to make a claim on the Constitution, and they are bound to protect you. They are bound to protect your God-given private unalienable rights. And the only way in which they can engage you or have anything to do with you is that it's within the 17 limited enumerated powers that was granted to them. That's the only way that they can have anything to do with the state. When I say the state, I'm talking one of the several states and the people. Because remember, the people are the state. The state gets its power from the people. They can't, and they were given 17 enumerated powers by which they could have, like, for instance, diversity. Let's say if you were from the state of New York and I'm from the state of Tennessee, and we have a controversy. This is all in original jurisdiction. So in an instant like that, I don't want to go to your court. You don't want to go to my state court because my state court may, favor me, and your state court may favor you. So what you do is you go to a district court of the United States. Under diversity. See, they have the authority to hear that case because it's a case of diversity. You come from two diverse places. You come from two different two lawful jurisdictions. So within that district court, they already have rules that's set up to deal with when they have a conflict between people from different states. So that falls under the 17 enumerated powers. So in understanding with the 17 enumerated powers, you have to go back and look and see what those 17 enumerated powers. And if it's anything else, like, for instance, they have a right to raise taxes when it comes to arsenals and stuff like that, or they have exclusive legislative jurisdiction over the territories, or, like Puerto Rico and Guam and all those areas to do what the hell they want to, or any corporation that they create. So those are the things. That's the only way they can interact with anybody that's on the soil of one of the several states is that you somehow violate those 17 enumerated powers that have been given to them. And if you never violate those, they can never touch you unless you enter into a contract. Now, that's a very good question that you ask, because if you have a contract out there and you know that what I'm telling you, you can always make that claim that that's not your signature. But you have to know what a signature is. You have to know what without prejudice is. A signature is not just your damn handwriting. And so that's what's pissing me off about, in a sense, with some of the approaches and processes that people are putting out here. They're putting out here all these processes, and they're not teaching you the very damn basics, and it's those very basic things that are getting your ass caught in a noose.
The signature is when you understand what's going on, and then you ascend to the contract, and you have to. Sure.
Here's what you're saying. You're saying that. Here's what you're saying. I am abandoning when you give a general capacity signature. When you give a general capacity signature, you're saying that I am abandoning all of my God-given, unalienable private rights. I am rebelling against God. I am entering territorially, and I'm recognizing, acknowledging, receiving, and accepting what is being presented here too. The law form, the time, place, space, and plane. I am accepting the kitchen sink, the toilet, and the tub as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have what I bow down to you, oh great God Baal, do to me what you choose to. That's what you're saying when you put your signature on something. You're saying that it's my intent, it's my will. That's what you're doing. You're saying it's my. Remember, I said you have a right to political will, and that's what you're saying. It is my will. It is my intent. But how about if you know that they didn't reveal everything to you, and if they didn't reveal everything to you, and had you known, you never would have signed that. So knowing that you have been deceived and that was fault, that's not your signature. Why? Not because it's not your handwriting, it's not your signature, because it's not your intent to abandon God and enter territorially into contract with Baal. Now, for some of it could be. Seems like there's a lot of them out there because they're going with this BS authenticated certificate and trying to close that. So they don't understand it. Then they say, well, I just want to get the money so I can do God's work. Okay, please. Quit using God's name to shield your dirty ass agenda.
They're compelling performance on contracts where they left out material omissions or material information.
So tonight, anyone out there, you got some questions? Bring them. Don't send Wayne. Don't write Wayne. Send Wayne emails. And all that, accuse him of it. I've given you guys my email address, and I made it available on the call. So we're going to have a gut check tonight. So I'm just telling you, bring it on, because I know that what these guys are teaching out there is BS, and you are being set up for the slaughter. And when things really go down or you get attacked, they're not showing you how to defend. They're not showing you how to go on the offensive. And when someone approaches you or they pull you before a court, they say, state your name and how you plead, the first thing that you want to do is you're one of the people of the several states, and you're invoking all your rights and powers, privileges, remedies, and immunities. Or you can just say all my rights as they relate to the Constitution of the United States of America and the state Constitution as beneficiary. And basically, and when they go silent and they don't say anything, that's why you say, hearing no objections, let the record reflect. Because what you're saying is I only contract territorially to the United States of America or to the state of Tennessee or the state of Georgia within the territorial limits of the state of. That's what you're saying. I only contract there too. Now, if you're not from there, we don't have a damn thing to talk about. I am not consenting.
Now, do you put that in? You put that in writing before you go into the court?
You don't have to put it in writing before you have to go. You can, if you're dragging it to court, you can do a viva voce say. And before you go into the court, we show you how to make that appearance without even having to go there. And see, that's the objective. When you know who you are and you know how to put it in writing, you make the appearance, and it says all of that, and it's going. So what's going to happen? They realize that we realize we don't have subject matter jurisdiction. We don't have personam jurisdiction. The person is not surrendering or volunteering to our jurisdiction. He's not in our venue. So it's like
I'm fine, but
he didn't fall for the trick. He didn't allow himself to be induced. You understand how serious? You see how simple that was, and what we're talking about. So why are you going up here spending all this money with these idiots and they're giving you nothing but stuff that they're pulling out of their asses and telling you that it's the golden rule? But when questioned on it and asked how did you defend, they can't. Those questions can never be answered. So what I'm saying is, with this course, when you go through the school and you learn the various modules, you don't need me. You got, and Joyce and Ben will tell you, I'm going to hit you in the head. I'm going to hit you between the eyes so often, and then it just becomes, you just begin to see right through the thing, and then you know how to express yourself, because it's very simple. It's just like we just said. If you all remember, I showed you a video of a woman in Canada, and she just kept saying, I don't consent. I only contract under the common law. And they couldn't do nothing because they were trying to get her to contract under their law form, which would place her at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, just on that, and even if you went into court, if you didn't know anything else, if you went before a judge and say, I don't understand. I don't understand, because understand means something totally different. Doesn't mean I don't comprehend. Doesn't mean I don't comprehend. Just those simple things. Because what are you saying? You're saying that I am not submitting to your jurisdiction. I don't understand. I'm not going to understand. I'm not going to put what you're purporting above me, because I know that I'm superior. And they know that you are in original jurisdiction. That's why the Supreme Court case, I'll show you those documents. Those are the ones I had those documents from like early 2000. If I can find those, where the Supreme Court says you got to give them due process. They have to give you the opportunity to waive. And what do most of us say? Oh, my name is Bobby Jones, and I ain't guilty. That's all they want to hear. Because they got you. You follow what I'm saying? It's just that simple. Now you got all these guys. You got these guys out here talking all this, using all these processes, and we go to the secretary, and they can't even tell you that one damn basic thing right there. And so, if you really realize what I've given you in the audios and what Joyce discussed in that document, if you really understood it, it's a gold mine.
Did you send us that in an email? Because I don't remember getting.
Yeah, who's speaking?
John Albany.
But John, I sent you the email. Remember that day you called me, and I said I'm going to send you something in the email.
All right, let me check. Maybe I missed it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check.
So, and I'm telling you, I'll share this. I don't think you have a problem with it. I had a conversation with Thomas McFadden this morning. He was asking me about the webinar, and he's asking me. We were having some discussions about what Boris is putting forth, and Thomas started telling me about Title 26 and blah 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 blah. And I said, "Are those statutes?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Those are statutes, and they deal with the United States, so they're all insular." He says, "Yes." I said, "The application, did you not fill out an EIN application?" He says, "Yes." I said, all you who are listening on the phone right now, all you have to do is go to Black's Forth and look at application and look for apply. It all tells you it's enrollment. Enrollment into what? To the insular jurisdiction where they have absolute plenary powers. Don't you understand? They want you there. They don't want you in the Republic, because if you're in the Republic, you are sovereign. You are where they got their powers from, and they have to bow down and kiss the ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's that simple. If you sit down and just say, I'm going to put these things aside, everything that everybody's taught me, let this man lay the foundation, and then I'm going to use that as a litmus test. You can't say I'm in the private. There's no such thing as being in the private when you're in the public. The only way what private means is when you are in original jurisdiction. That's where your God-given private unalienable rights. That means they're your private rights. You have absolute title to them. When you go into the other side, it's split title. You have civil rights. You have that which they've given you.
Yeah. privileges.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Talk.
Oh, well, Tommy and I, we got to be a little bit deprogrammed here. We've been taught and all this. I like to sometimes call it the chop suey method and all that. And then, a house built on sand is not going to stand. We all know that. We got to, like you keep pounding in our minds that we have to have firm foundation. Now, back going like with David Clarence and the process of the post office box, because we know what residence means in the commercial terms. Now, how are we supposed to handle that?
Well, if you
I went down to postmaster here the other day, and I wanted
who's speaking? Who's speaking, Matt? Who's speaking, Matt?
Dave from Iowa.
Okay, Dave. Did you go to Ohio?
Just flipped out on me.
Did you go to Ohio or Arizona?
I was in Ohio.
Did you not see my post office box application?
No, I haven't.
Well, I showed it there, and those are some of the things I show you. Remember, you either create your contract or you take the contract or what's being offered with you, and you give them a counter. But the counter is so subtle till they don't even pick it up.
Say that again.
That's what you learn in the school. You learn how to create your own documents, your own contract, time, place, space, and plane to original jurisdiction. And if you don't, if someone gives you something, I show you how to make a counter offer on that form or within that document, and to the person who picks it up, don't even have a clue that you just fed them a poison pill. And I'll give it to you. I'll tell you what it is. It's without prejudice. Without prejudice. What is it? 261746. 1, Joyce. Is that it? Joyce. I guess.
Hang on. I just got too many things to get unmuted. Let me get that quote and I'll get right back to you.
Is this without United States?
Yes.
28 U.S.C. subsection 1746(1).
There you go.
Now what did he just say? What you just said is, I'm reserving my rights. But you got to know which rights you're reserving, and you got to know who the hell you are to know which rights you're reserving. And when you said 28 U.S.C. 1746(1), you're saying that this signature is being done outside United States, which means outside their insular jurisdiction. And then, of course, if you learn how to use corporation souls and things of that nature, and we show you how to fill out the form, and you put that in there, along with the application, have them to keep it on file, so when the postal inspectors come and take a look at it, they see that you gave them a counter offer and they took it. Because remember, they want to look at the information that you submitted to use it against you. And when you put in there that you reserve all your rights, that this was signed without, and you have another document in there, and they see that, they're like, oh, shit. Because we can't issue any documents. We really don't exist. We only exist when they give a signature and animate. What don't you understand about in the Matrix? He says, this is what you are, Neo, a battery. You are a battery for the Matrix. You via the heat in your body and the electrical current is what keeps the Matrix going. That is represented by your signature, your silence, and your use.
I got a question.
What was that again? 28 what?
28 U.S.C. 1746(1).
1746.
Okay. 1746(1).
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, someone, please, if you're out there and listen, audience, if you can tell me, has any one of these people that are putting these processes out there covered what we're discussing tonight?
No, not in explicit detail. Roundabout, but not in specific enforcement.
Well, I haven't heard of that. Trading with the Enemy Act, one process is we went down that rabbit hole and just like, what's that got to do with anything?
Well, yeah. Well, what the hell does that got to do with you if you were never there, huh? And who can say an only person can say that you were there is you.
Yeah.
And how did you say you were there? By filling out an application, filling out a form, or failing to do something.
Mm-hmm. Or just giving them your name.
Exactly. Because when you give them your name, most people say, well, you gave them your name. And so like dumbass David Klein, he tell you gave them your name so they could do what they want to do. But that's not what it's about. When you gave your name, you failed to invoke your law form. That's why they're telling you to state your name, because they want you to do that without invoking your law form, telling them who you are and where you are, and that you invoke your law form and your remedies in relation to the Constitution of the United States of America. You're the beneficiary. They are the trustee. Don't you understand? They got you to do it the other way around, where they become the beneficiary and you are the trustee. One way to figure this thing out is that their system is based 180 degrees opposite of God. It's 180 degrees opposite of the Republic. If you know nothing else, if you know that, and if I'm Boris and I'm telling you to partake and let the government take care of your bills, then you should right off the bat know that I am full of it. It's common sense. The way to figure that system out is 180 degrees opposite of what the Republic is, and is opposite. Is totally 180 degrees in contrast to the laws of nature and nature's God.
So, how is it simply stated? Is it with the signature to invoke one's political jurisdiction just by stating without prejudice, and or what other can be with your signature? It still has to be with your signature to keep it that simple.
I just told you, Sherry.
Signature, comma, without prejudice.
Well, the bottom line is, that's why when you come to school, you'll know this. You'll see this. I'm just putting things out there. If you go look up some of the terms in the word, it should give you some clue. Now, see, unlike these other, under these, I'm giving you the basis. I'm giving you the source material. I'm giving you the cases where you can see, and all the times you read the cases, you'll see exactly the language there. They'll give you an explanation. They even tell you in the international shoe. There's companies out there saying we're outside the state. We don't have to pay any taxes, blah, 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 blah. They say we don't give a damn. The minimum contact you have with anyone in this state, I didn't say the state, they say in this state, you're doing business there, and you follow their jurisdiction. So even if you are, according to this birth certificate thing, even if you think you're foreign and you're immune, the minute you go in and you fill out a form, what did it just say? You're under their jurisdiction. So International Shoe was trying to say we don't have to pay taxes, but what did International Shoe do? They did the opposite. They went and they did there was a taxable event. There was conduct that basically rendered whatever they thought they had, they thought they were tax exempt or tax immune. That one little simple act of contracting, wiped out their whole argument. And the Supreme Court told them, I don't know if it's the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court told them, you're there. I'm sorry, you're there. And they have to pay those taxes. We have many other cases like that. So on that case, if you have this all-cap name, like these people are saying that you're foreign, or if it is United States, blah, 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 and they're operating from the private side, well, if you're operating from the private side and you're dealing with something that you said that belongs to state of, what did you just do? You just entered territorial under jurisdiction, and they can come and bust your behind anytime they get ready. So what are you going to do?
I'm going to sign it with the 28 U.S.C., and the signature is being done without the U.S. territory. Yes?
Duh.
Okay, all right. Well, I just got
I wasn't being smart, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's right there. A lot of these things is right there in your face, but people, they don't cover these basic things with you. Now, on that alone, I can guarantee you most of the forms that these people have filled out, even when they request a copy of the birth certificate, they give a general capacity signature. And bottom line, even if you were to sign the forms without prejudice, without United States, well then, okay, it's still going nowhere because what you just admitted that you were not insular to that jurisdiction, and the only way that you can have anything to do with that is to be insular in an insular jurisdiction. Do you follow me? You can't serve two masters.
You know what, Tommy? You know what confuses me is that those guys, you know, you talk about us being double-minded and everything when we're in front of them and everything, but they're double-minded. They take an oath, and depending on how you present themselves, you present yourself, that's how they have to proceed, but they don't tell you who they are. So can't you just ask them what's your name?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. After you invoke your law jurisdiction, after you vote where you did, you can ask them all the questions you want to, but you want to get it on the record who you are, where you are, and what your law form is. And once you get that on the record, you can ask them all the questions all you want to. But they're not going to answer your questions. They don't have to. You think they're going to let everybody in the peanut gallery know what the hell is going on? That all this stuff that you're involved in is voluntary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but all I'm saying is they come down hard on people who they see as being double-minded because somebody's making a mistake here and there. Like you say, you're not going against the guys who teach other things because, listen, this is very hard to conceive, and anybody who's trying to do this I think they're trying to do their best to free everybody. You know what I mean?
You know what? To some degree, John.
To some degree, but you know, when I talk to people and even people on this call, you know, like we definitely have to be deprogrammed. It's not
and exactly, you know, exactly, because you're right. You have to once you see it and you realize I just can't go on what these people say. I have to perform my own due diligence, and that's why I show you the cases. I show you other people's paperwork, and once you get it, you start saying, man, I got it. And you have the confidence, and you know to stick to your guns because you understand the logic of it. You understand how everything fits together, and they know they can't get around it. They've been tricking you to just say, state your name out of your pre. My name is Johnny. I ain't guilty. And then, you know, wait a couple hours, you either paying a fine or they sending your ass to the clink. Okay? The Great Bar Motel. And all you have to do is just like with probable cause. They say, oh, we had probable cause to pull them over. Well, they don't know who you are. If the cop pulls you over and you've done everything what's necessary, you should smile. You don't have to ask no questions. You show them ID. You have your own ID, either from them or that which has been created by the state and has been raised to the highest level of evidence. And so whether the cop accepts it or not, they detain you, do all that shit, and then when they really see what's going on, they kick you out. Now you got all the evidence to go to risk management and hit them up for big money.
I got a question, Tommy. Going in as a new case with all of the mistakes that I have made, which have been many, would I go in as a plaintiff with the situation, the case, which is in 2 states, with the information that you gave, I'm not sure where it is, but with that word that you gave so that one can utilize one's rights.
Well, see, the thing of it, here's the deal. Here's what happened, Sherry.
Yeah.
Everything, pretty much, the animals, the land, the property, all of that, at some point, was pledged or is presumed to have been pledged. Now, if for those animals and for your property, if you can show a bill of sale, notice I said bona fide, and that's another term everyone should look up. It's called bona fide, BONAFIDE. And if you have bills of sales and that identifies two parties who are extraterritorial, who's outside the United States, you use gold or silver, and you dictate the terms in there, and you state that this is not to be used for commercial purposes, and UCC does not apply. Don't you understand? Then they cannot touch your stuff because that's your private property. And to take your stuff, to take your property without due process is a violation of your private right to property. Okay? And it's very significant. So that's what this whole course is. Once you lay the foundation, all these little various things that I'm talking about, they're modules. But it's important. That's why I discounted this. You know, the course is going to be $1,000. And, you know, we'll get some complaints about that. I don't have a problem with it. I can go lay my head on the ground because I know that what you're going to get is far more than that. And then it's imperative to see the modules to come. And when you see, and I'm not just and the reason why I refer to Ben and Joyce, because if anybody knows Joyce, and they know Ben is kind of quiet, but everybody knows that Joyce, she cannot twist her arm. And if she says something, she says it because she means it. And she will tell you, if you only knew that this far exceeds, you will have the tools from that standpoint on. You have what you need to see what's going on. You'll be able to restructure. You'll be able to structure your affairs. You will be in the world, but not necessarily of it. You don't have to go out here running your mouth, broadcasting what you're doing, because your business is private. And even doing these things when they're in study groups, those who haven't attended classes, I strongly suggest that you don't allow them to participate in your study groups, which I will audit from time to time, okay, because I really want you all to grasp that, because if you do, you know, all this to come, you know, you got somebody who is trying to take shit and mix it. You can't. That's why I'm trying to show you. You cannot mix and match. You either serving one, or you're loving one, or you're hating the other one. You cannot serve two masters. And that's what these people are here trying to tell you. You're serving two masters.
I don't care about other people. I really want to get with I want to be walking in your mind and your heart. I don't want to talk about all the other names that you're reverberating, because I don't have relations with them. I want one specifically and detailed and honorably with you. I want to know what you know as if it were my own, and it comes from my soul, because I comprehend it to the highest degree that I'm capable of. That's what I'm.
Well, see, to some degree, you have to, Sherry. You have to know. You have to. With the way I teach, it's imperative that you know what these others are teaching, because it gives you a deeper understanding of what it is that you have.
I'm coming with my whatever it is already.
But there's lessons. But I'm saying there's lessons. There's things to be learned from what they're doing out there that's going to make you stronger. You see, when you put your stuff together, you're putting your stuff in line and in place, you'll begin to see it. It just makes it that much stronger, and it makes you that much more confident. That's why I'm confident.
I'm confident. And what I'm saying is, I can look at any option on this planet. I don't care what name you attach to it, but I want to know the law. So, or what can be known as the word process. You know, so I can look at any and all options, but in my heart, when the day goes by and I lay my head on that pillow, I want to know what shit I know. Period. And then, if there's room to wiggle room to learn more, I'll stuff it in there. You know, as soon as I can assimilate it. But I got to meditate on it and think about it and look at it, and you know, there's a whole huge. Universe within me, okay? We can even go outside of that. But I don't think we want to delve into that. So, but I have to get clear point on point, because I hear so much flying by me with information, and by the time I'm trying to figure out one question to get an answer to one thing so that I can move forward on another answer, you're like 10 steps ahead of me, and I got to backtrack. But I feel that this is where I have to be because it is the most, I'm going to use a rough word, organic. It's the most solid with as far as being a living being. And I don't want to get digging around with words either, not right now, but just to get a thought forward. I know in my heart that I can utilize the information so that I can move between the one state A and the two state B. I have to establish who I am so that I have that standing no matter what state I'm in, because the state is within who I am in my heart and my soul. So that moves with me as like what you're talking about with travel. I have the right of movement, and that's a God-given ability. So I'm respecting and honoring that. I also know that with all of the mistakes that I've made as a human, and I did, under those duress moments, that's their word, but they recognized that it was being under torture and kidnapping and all those wonderful words that we can implement. But I think that I can utilize going in as a plaintiff with the case without going into their court by initiating and activating my heart and soul on this paperwork correctly, and or would I go through risk management and let them handle it in the private. So I know that I have some options, and I think that it is through what you're instructing on. Am I getting this correctly? And without knowing what I'm talking about, but I just have this feeling with you.
Let me say this. You guys heard me just mention diversity. If you are in the Republic, I have a case here where it talks about, goes back in the 1800s, where there was a citizen or one of we the people of one or a citizen of the several states, and there was a controversy. There was a dispute. There was a dispute that arose against someone who was in the territory. Okay, so what happened is in that case it had to go into a district court because you were dealing with two people from two different jurisdictional planes. Now, if you are in the Republic and someone violates your rights, you have a right to go into under the guidelines of diversity, and you could go into a U.S. district court. But everybody said, well, wait a minute, Tommy, you just said original jurisdiction. Original jurisdictions are district courts of the United States. Yeah, but did you not hear me say that the residue of the common law is still there, even though they changed the name of the court? When you go in as one of the people, like I just said regarding Annie Oakley, you being the plaintiff, you have just set your court to be a court of record and not a nisi prius court. Two more hints. Court of records. Need to look up what court of record means according to the Constitution. Need to know what a nisi prius court is. Okay?
Well, that's what I intend to initiate.
Well, let me finish. Okay? So now I'm saying you could do that, but you have to pour everything together, and that's what I'm saying. Where is the documentation? You got to be able to say, unless you can go on a record and say that it's yours, and they can come back and say not. No, it wasn't, but they won't. But if you do it that way, if you go in under diversity and you have a list that this is your private property, and they don't come back and say that it isn't, then it's yours. Then they're admitting to something. And if it's done properly, you may not even have to go to court. You go to risk management, and they may be able to return it once you show that you're competent and you know what you're doing. That's why I'm trying to tell you, you always had the power, Dorothy, as I'm telling all of you. All you got to do is demonstrate the proper conduct. Well, what is the conduct? Dorothy, all you have to do is click your golden slippers. They weren't ruby slippers in the original Wizard of Oz. It was gold slippers or silver slippers, one of them, and say there's no place like home. They're talking about conduct. You've always had the power. You really didn't need to go see the damn wizard. That's what these people are telling you. Go see the wizard with all their damn processes. They're standing behind the curtain.
I'm accepting. I do have the power. I do want to put it forth correctly. I want to learn the verbiage and know how to click my mind instantly, as quickly as I can, and correct it and put it on paperwork and implement it. I do think that I can go through risk management. I am aware of risk management. I believe that I can go into risk management in the state that I'm in with going with a state that's where my animals are, my children. So I do see this as a possibility, and I'm accepting. So I want to turn this into living proof. I feel confident with what you're saying.
The first part of it begins in the mind, because whatever the mind conceives, typically if you stick with it, it can be manifest physically. So really, all begins.
I saw it when I was going through it. I did not have the skills at the time. I've been patient, and I've been listening to what I hear in the world and other people speaking, and now I'm ready to act. I'm ready to implement. So I feel very confident in your skills as being a guiding source for me. So
you're gonna have that, because it's gonna be, like I say, you all are required to. I'm gonna do my part, because I do love teaching. And more importantly, I love learning. I'm a much better student, I think, than I am a teacher. But and what I'm saying is, I wanted to have an in-your-face call tonight because people need to know. And I know, and I try to put it in metaphors and allegories. I try to break it down, try to put it in the simplest form that these people out there, whether they're doing it intentionally or not, as learned as they are, I can't understand why it is that they don't see, if they are learned. There's no way that you could just, if you just start off with basic stuff, and this is what I'm saying, don't go by what you think you know. Go by what you have confirmed to be fact. Go by that what you've confirmed, or that knowledge, or those things that you have confirmed. And that's what I'm showing you to do. So when you go somewhere, you know how to, not only do you have the foundation, but you know how to go on the offensive. See, I'm not all about being on the defense. It's about going on the offensive. So when that judge comes there and he wants to try to tell you this and that, you tell him, who the hell are you? And you ask him a question, say, who are you? What jurisdiction? And they say, well, how do you – no, sir, I'm not pleading to anything, but if anything I'm going to do is I'm going to reserve my rights as one of the people of the state of. I reserve all my rights, and I only contract territorially there too. And then they go silent, and you say, hearing no objection, let the record reflect that you only contract territorially to the several states. So that point, whatever the judge says that goes on from that standpoint, he has just recognized you as being sovereign. He's just recognized you are in the private. He just recognized that he has an oath to uphold. You see, because if he can get you to enter a plea or without invoking your law form, he's no longer bound by his oath. He's now bound by his employee contract, and his employee contract says to collect. Don't you understand?
Okay, I want to ask, under duress and threat of life and the life of my animals, I think that null and voids any of that illusioned authority that they think that they're standing on. I think it can be corrected.
But you could claim you could claim duress, okay? But there's two things you haven't done. Remember, this conduct. Things done and not done. First of all, you haven't established your identity, and you haven't declared what your future intents are in terms of your nationality. That's
why I haven't implemented anything to date. That's why I'm patient, and I'll do it.
When it comes down to it, you can either make the claim and have them not say anything, and that shows that it's yours. If you go in, if you initiate the right lawsuit and you are the right plaintiff, because it's the plaintiff who sets the case. It's the plaintiff who sets the caption of the case. Okay, and usually it's the plaintiff that pretty much always wins. And so, even though you may not have bills of sales, the fact that you've gone on the record and you may have done that via affidavit, and if you got somebody who testified that these were your animals, especially two people who've witnessed it and done an affidavit, you've created evidence, and especially when you get that authenticated, you're taking it to the highest form. So now, not only are you making a claim, but you have evidence to support your claim. Now, what the hell can they do? They can't do nothing if you are in the court under a court of record. A court of record is your remedy, not a nisi prius court. Did you not hear me say?
What do you call that, nisi prius?
I heard that. And that's what I wanted to establish. I couldn't get a court of record there.
There are so many lessons in what I said. I said, I am Tommy Dwayne. I at all times claim, retain, invoke all rights, powers, privileges, remedies, immunities, and defenses. Notice that I said remedies, immunities, and defenses. Those words, each one of those words should be looked up as they relate to the Constitution of the United States of America. You need to look at what, you got the Bill of Rights there, and they only list a few. They're not listing all of your God-given rights, you see. But if you don't know what your God-given rights are, you say, well, without prejudice, and you say, well, what do you mean by that? If you haven't identified yourself, and you haven't done the proper things, that's how they want to trip you. But when it comes out of your mouth and you had a little curl smile on your face, let them know you know what's going on. And see, really, some of the things they're going to show you, you're not even have to go physically, even go before them. And if we take it to the level that I want to, is put it into the damn computers, where you have your own documents, you have that stuff. Eventually, have your own diplomatic passport, which is a American national passport. And if you have a license, it won't be a driver's license. It'll be, to them, it appears to be a driver's license. So when they run it, they know not to stop you. Or what you have on the back of your plate looks like to be a plate for state of. But when they run it, it tells their employee, their policy enforcement officer, that's what police is, policy enforcement officer, their revenue agent. He looked it up, and it tells him don't stop. But if he ignores that, what they're going to do when you go to risk management, they're going to probably suspend him without pay and then make him pay for courses that are extremely expensive to deter that kind of behavior in the future. And if it happens again, he's probably going to be fired. And you bet your ass he's going to be telling his buddies what happened. Or you might go to school, you might have a settlement. Your settlement might be, well, not only do I want the money, but if he wants his job, he has to come to my school.
Okay.
He has to come to my school, and then that's when you really give him an education. If you want
I like that. I did. The last cop that I talked to, supervisor over the traffic division, I told him that you will be educated correctly from this point forward, and I am not you. You treat people all the time like you, and I said I am not you, but you know my first name, Sherry, and I will come back and we will have a discussion on all of this. So
the best discussion you can have with them is going to risk management and hitting them in the pocketbook. That's what gets their attention.
That's where I'm going. That is where I'm going, and I'm going to start with my status and my standing. So that's my point one, and I accept that my future with my children will come to fruition, and I accept. So I will be quiet now. I feel very I'm elated. And I know that there's a lot of hard work in front of me, but at least I'll have a focus and I won't be home alone doing this. By my common sense, I'll be able to implement it.
You have others to interact with, and, you have fun, and we'll take a look at, like I said, Tim Turner. We'll take a look at David Clarence. We'll take a look at this stuff, and we'll have court cases, and then I'll jerk you one way and I'll jerk you another way, and I might drop a safe on your head. I might drop a refrigerator. Who knows? Depends on how I feel.
Oh, yeah. I can see you giving me a good kick every once in a while, but I'll accept that. I do have a question on your course. I don't think I'm going to be happy with a couple few weeks, a few hours here and there. I want to be fully entrenched, and I don't see that happening quickly. How much my little money spread?
No, listen, I've committed myself to 2 weeks. And when I say 2 weeks, it'll be Thursday. That's what I also wanted to discuss, the hours. I feel probably the weekend is best. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. minimum of 3 hours. But knowing the way that I talk, it could go for 5, or it could go for 3. We take a break, come back, and we go for another 2, another 3. We can go 6. But it'll be for that weekend. Then you have a whole week in between there. That's where you always establish the study groups. There'll be a series of videos and things like that along with it that I want you to watch to give you a comprehensive view. And then it will pick up the next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 to 6 hours. It's 2 weeks. That's a lot of work, but it will be ongoing in that you will still have the group, and you still could have words, you still could have questions that you could pose to other ones in the group to see how they would go about handling the situation, to see, discuss the words, and to some of the words I'll be going over you one by one, because sometimes you can open a dictionary, you can read it, but you don't quite see through it. You don't quite comprehend it. And so when you see that word, and then when you go and read a case, and you see how that case or how that word is used or how that topic is carried out in the case, then you're like, oh, now I get it. And then you realize that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can use the language, take it directly out of the case, okay, and cite the case so they know where you're going. And what that is called stare decisis. That means the determination's already been made, and we ain't gonna have that. We're not going back over that again. It's a done deal. Okay, so that's and it at first it seems like it's going to take work, but when you all do it together, and it's really fun. And if you just say, I know what I've been taught, I know I spent a lot of money, I know I went through a lot of shit, and I just can't believe that all that I learned is no good. Don't be of that mindset. Just set it aside, because you're going to be able, once you get the foundation, you're going to be able to examine what it is you learned or that you thought you knew, and you're going to see all the flaws within it, and typically within the first paragraph.
Well, I accept that, and I also see that I have no concept on this coming to full fruition in 2 weeks. Now, I know that you did mention modules, but I also look at my income, which is limited, unless a miracle happens, but $1,000 for a couple weeks, and there's going to be a handful of modules for me to grow into developing this case and or going to, full fruition. I mean, I just don't have, 1,000 to 3 or 4 or 5,000 to keep going every couple weeks.
Well, this is what I'll tell you.
Yeah, please.
My thing is this: when I didn't have the money, I went to God, and I'm not trying to sound like a Baptist preacher, because unlike you all, I had to pay $5,000 a pop. Okay, and I did that over, and a lot of times I didn't have the money, but I went to God. Okay, and there was always somehow He made a way for me. Okay, and I can't figure that out for you, and I can't. I'm telling you to go to God, and you will be amazed. Okay. You think of, that's something you put out to the universe, because what was killing me is that I knew I had the knowledge about this birth certificate, and Joyce would tell you when we first started teaching, I said, Joyce, I'm going on the record, and this is what I feel. I said, I can't prove it yet, but I know in my gut I am right. And over a period of time, Andrea from Canada kept challenging me, and I went through my archives. And I was kidding with Joyce the other day. I was like, the Library of Congress ain't got a damn thing on me when it comes to archives. And lo and behold, there's this document that goes in depth. There's 2 of them actually I used about the birth certificate. And so apparently in the past I had already read it, but I couldn't quite remember all of it to make the connections. And that will be one of the documents that are contained, that are contained therein. But the question of it is, I want you all to know I deal in international trade. I've always done very well for myself. And when I got ill 4 years ago, I literally had to live off of $200 for almost a year every month. And I had nobody to go to but God. And I don't see anybody really being in that kind of situation. So if God can bring me through that situation, He can get you through this. You just have to put the vibration. And that's what I was saying about the birth certificate. I was like, God, show me. I put the vibration out there, and lo and behold, the answer came to me. I'm just trying to be
well,
spooky,
then I got one idea. I want to get one idea out to you and see if you would be there for assist to discharge all of these monthly bills, and that would definitely pull up, the little fur notes cashed in or paid in lawful currency and free that up. I'd be completely willing to. You can just take it. I really don't care. But there's got to be a way you don't do that.
No, because I'd be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you just take things one day at a time. You just never know what's going to occur. And I'm just saying this, and I'm just being frank with you. What you're going to receive, what I have to offer and what you'll be taught far exceeds that. It's just a thing in just something in the can. You're doing it. Many of you be doing it from the comfort of your home. You don't have to go out to the airport. You don't have to make air reservations. You don't have to sit up there and pay for your food. You have all these things. You have course materials once you make the donation. I'll get you the donation form where you're making the donation. We keep everything legit. So I'm just saying, in terms of those hours, you guys have my email address or you have my Skype, and let me know what you think about those hours or what you like to do on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If we go 3, then take a break or 2, and then go for 3 more, because this stuff is very taxing on me. I put a lot of my soul into it, and it usually takes me time to recover. But in the meantime, as you develop the study group, you can say, well, we want to meet for 1 hour a night or whatever to go over the stuff before he goes over it again. And if I feel like you guys are grasping it, you got it there, then, it takes you still to wrestle with each other. You get it on, and then we move on. But I guarantee that, let me say this, you won't get an I'm just saying it straight out. It's not out of arrogance. You will not get an education like you're getting that you're going to receive. I don't give a damn if you went to Harvard or you went to Yale. I see it constantly. It's only a few that's aware of the two systems, and they have been programmed. Well, let me finish. They have been indoctrinated. Just as the world has been indoctrinated, they don't understand that there's two systems, and that is the key. That's why I made the foundational course so affordable, to where you get it and you see that this man is not about BS. I know that what's to come is going to be the real deal, because that's what I'm saying. I'm setting it up in stages, like grade, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. Everything fits logically. You see it, and then you start saying, cool, you don't need to call me. You get ready to buy an automobile, you're going to do a bona fide sale. You know what time, place, space, and planar jurisdiction is. You know what the money is. You're going to know how to contact them and say, basically, do you have a damn claim? Because if you don't, you need to put this in here. You need to make some kind of accommodation for my safety. Because your cops are dumb and they don't have an idea of what contract is all about, and I don't want to get myself hurt, because if I get injured, it's going to be bail on you. So do your job, carry out the trust, let us protect me. And it's been done. So it's not like it hasn't been done. I've sat at the table with people who've done this. Okay, so the thing of it is, when you see it, you're just like, oh man, it's like that, and then boom, where you got to save money is even when it comes to sales taxes, real estate taxes, property taxes. Now, if you're talking about income taxes, there are some little things we could offer you that too, if you that thing is still in the system. Because whether you know it or not, they went to automatic deposits, because when they issue you Federal Reserve notes, it used to be that they would issue a check. And on the back of that check, you would give a general capacity signature, and you didn't know what you were saying when you put that signature on there. You're basically saying, instead of receiving payment, I'm receiving the benefit of dischargement in Federal Reserve notes. So you're saying, I agree to that. And that's how they're able to get away with that. Okay? But if you keep tab of something, and even if there's a 1040 form and somebody wants to audit you, the first thing they're going to do is pull out the tax return and say, is that your signature?
I know. I'm facing that right now.
Okay, but so you got to get that knowledge. You got to know what the signature is. You know that, and then if they say you owe this, you say, well, I got this number. I have this kind of money saved up, and since you owe me. You say I owe you, but this is how much you owe me. So I have these notes, and I want to redeem them in gold or silver. Now, surely they can't expect you to pay them before they pay you. And do you think that the government wants to give up gold and silver for its worthless Federal Reserve notes? Hell no. So eventually they just disappear. But from that standpoint on, you should know how to contract in the future. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. I just, in my heart, I want to know that I can follow this through with you till fruition, which would be, establishing new home and get back and know how to stand. Period.
Well, see, the fruition is going to be. The minute we go over to complete the class, fruition already takes place because your whole thinking level is going to be at a whole different level. And then in terms of application and getting them back, you got some work to do.
Yeah, I know. I got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to jump on board. I want to follow through with you. So I want to let you know.
But the foundation that you get, you begin to see that. And if anyone, please, anyone on the call disagrees with my logic and disagrees not only with my logic but with facts and the source materials, please speak up. This is your chance. So stop calling Wayne and telling Wayne. And if there's many of you, if there's anyone on here who has called Wayne and said he's a cheerleader, basically, there's your time to speak up. You get a chance to take a pot shot at the coach.
Well, the one pot shot I'd like to take you since you're invited. No, I took Dan Benning's course, with Corporate Soul, and I'm just interested to see what you're doing with that because he got into a little mess with that, and I don't.
See, in terms of corporate, remember I told you there's two jurisdictions.
Uh-huh.
There's a corporation soul, and then there is the corporation soul that is in the original jurisdiction. What don't you understand? We're not only talking about the Internal Revenue Code that they got there. We're not talking about that. What don't you understand? Thou shalt make no law regarding the establishment of the riches or the free exercise thereof. But that only applies to those who are in the Republic. It only applies to those corporation souls that were created in the Republic.
Uh-huh. And
so many of them were basically saying the corporation soul doesn't have. Well, first of all, you should never be dealing. There should always be a buffer between the corporation soul and their system. And they don't understand how that functions, how that works now. And he was out there selling corporation souls. When I teach the course, I don't do them for you. I give you the information so you can create them for yourself.
Okay.
Or not for yourselves, because it is a church. But the corporation soul, you are the overseer and you are responsible for the assets. And what you do and what the church does is totally separate. But see, many of them are out there saying, well, you don't have to pay taxes on this. Remember, everything is about a contract and how you negotiate it in the beginning. If you fail to take care of it in the beginning and then you make use and then you try to go back and put the remedy in place, it's a little too late.
You can't change it unless you have both parties in agreement then.
Well, yes, exactly. But they can't. They don't have shit to say about it when the corporation soul and everything was created, because the corporation soul is there to handle all the temporalities, temporal affairs of the church, which is unincorporated. Mm-hmm. And so is the corporation soul. It does not have EIN number, but this guy that you're talking about, I read some stuff by him, I think, and he says the corporation soul should apply for EIN.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the wrong way to go.
Exactly. You learned it already.
Yourself into the jurisdiction again.
There you see. You learned it already. He volunteered to do that, so that means they're saying, okay, well, you made a use that was inconsistent with the reason with the exemption that we gave you. Mm-hmm. You see, You failed to follow the rules in order to maintain the exemption. So we're coming after you. You're either going to pay that back or we're going to come after you. But how about with the corporation sole, if done properly, how about if there's maybe some entity between that and the so-called corporation, and that entity follow all the tax filing and all that stuff, and then it showed that it went to a corporation sole, which they have no say-so over. The corporation sole is not even required to even keep a record because it's under ecclesiastical law, not statutory law. And if you know anything about that, if you're outside their jurisdiction, even if you're in original jurisdiction, you cannot visit the corporation sole. Okay? If done right, if done and told properly. But see, these are all stages. Can a corporation sole hold land? Can a corporation sole do? Yes, it can. Can a corporation sole have bank accounts? Yes, it can. Okay. Now, is it foreign? Absolutely. It's a foreign entity. And why? Tell me, why is it that they have to recognize that? Because it's on the soil of one of the several states, and its rights is protected by the Constitution, and they cannot discriminate. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing that I see that's really important in this, everybody's under the gun because of the financial situation. But the real situation is that man created the economy, and God created nature. And what's happening is they have everybody fooled that the economy is so important while they're killing nature. They're killing the water. They're ruining the water, the air, the land, and they're putting people, you know, under the fiction.
It's designed. The whole system is designed to separate you from the laws of nature and nature's God.
Exactly.
Everything about it. It's 180 degrees of what should be done, of what's correct.
And the other thing it's doing is they're teaching you what to think, not how to think. And what happened in chiropractic, see, I'm a chiropractor. I went to chiropractic school, and we had some straight schools, and we had our own accrediting agency. And the school I went to first, they were teaching us how to think, not what to think. They said, read this stuff, come back and tell us about it. And if we did the work, they would give us, you know, and what we said was reasonable. You know, now what happened was they got rid of that accrediting agency for the straight schools. The other school walked into the government and said that the other accrediting agency said that they're okay with them taking over. And now all these schools are teaching them what to think, not how to think. And the same thing, like you were talking about lawyers. I went out with one of the top lawyers in the EPA. I know a girl who went to Harvard. I know a girl who went to Columbia. They don't know this shit. They don't even know who they are.
Because they have to read. All they've done is, you know, what you're talking about. There was a thing called the Flexner Report, and the Flexner Report was talking about basically how the Rockefellers took over medicine because they needed. They were so damn greedy that they needed to figure out some way to dispose of or how to deal with their tar, or the tar that was being created from the oil. So what they did is they began to close down schools of naturopathy, you know, the chiropractics and all that stuff.
In jail, sure.
Exactly. And so they started funding all of those schools that were taught to use vaccines. And, you know, most of your vaccines are carbon or tar-based. And see, most people don't understand that. So everything about the system is to make you bust your ass and put you through something. So whenever you're challenged, it's just instinctively that you want to resist. And that's what these guys are doing out here with these fake processes. They're putting you through all this, taking your hard-earned money and showing you something that you really never can fully grasp, showing you no results whatsoever. And then it just makes it difficult when somebody like me just saying it's right before your damn eyes, Dorothy. All you have to do is click your damn heels. You don't need to go see. You don't need to go see the Wizard of Oz. You got everything you need.
Yeah, they're teaching them protocol, and as long as they go into court and they follow protocol, they get off the hook. In the meantime, they're killing people and hurting people. And they think it's okay because they follow protocol, because they don't know how to think for themselves, and they're hurting people, and they don't care.
That was something I had a discussion with Joyce today, and she sent me an email, and I thought it was very, very profound. Her son is a track star, and he was offered an opportunity to teach other young men and women, and to coach them in terms of track. And he said one of the first things he would do is he would tell them to take those damn headphones off their ears and begin to listen to their bodies. And as they're working out on the track, tune their mind with their body rather than just going by what the coach says. And all the coach, many of them got egos and in vain. They have no idea really what's going on with your body. You have to listen to your body. That's right. What, in a sense, what I'm saying, I'm trying to teach you all. Once you get through with this, listen to yourself. Have that spiritual connection with God. And when you know you're standing all right, it's hard for somebody because they can't. And they see on your face that you're determined and you know you got the law and you got the cases and the stare decisis they have to go by, and you understand that they're trying to trick you. And you already know what the game is. You know that the winning move is not to play the game at all. Please. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. If these people only taught you all the basics, maybe their processes would be even better. Maybe they would even come up with the shit if they knew the basics themselves. But many of them have been in the game so long, it's just very difficult for me to think that they don't know what the basics are.
No, you know what happened? My teacher Pasquale, he passed away, but he was a chiropractor, great chiropractor, and he taught us. What did he teach us? He said first off, those old guys said, hey, don't take a license, don't take insurance because they're contracts. That's number one. Number two is Pasquale used to say, the further away from Earth you get, the more instrumentation you need. And that's what's happening. They're getting further away from their bodies, further away from the core, further away from nature, and it's like you said, their heads are in the headphones and in the cell phones and all that stuff.
And so it's like but the things I'm telling you, that's from the courses. It comes with a great deal of responsibility, and that's why it took me so long to determine whether I was going to teach a class or anything on this. Because, and Joyce and Ben can tell you, based upon what they've been exposed to, this comes with a lot of responsibility.
Oh yeah.
The person's not willing to sit down and study and get a master's. You cannot do it for them. They have to be able to express their will. This is why you can have the fanciest paperwork in the world, go for the judge, and the first thing he's going to do, because he knows you have a God-given right to express your will, your political will, and he wants to hear it out of your mouth. So fine and then I have a document, and it has your signature on it, and you claim that it's yours, so let's hear it out of your mouth. Let's see if the two match up. And if you can't do that, especially with all this stuff that they're talking about, St. Germain did this in a trust, the judge is like, legal lunatic, can we have him evaluated, please? Let's send him up for evaluation. And you know that's exactly what they're doing. Because they're taking silent judicial notice that this is mixing multiple jurisdiction, and this guy doesn't have a clue. And he's already entered into the territory of the judge. He's already entered into my jurisdiction where sovereignty is in Congress, and they've empowered me to handle all these disputes. And my object is to collect so that the court, which is a corporation in itself, all the other judges can get kickback as well. So that's what this is all about. And and then these people aren't telling you that. And I'm not out here. I don't want you all to be saying, well, Tommy this, Tommy that. No, you go in and say the court says this, court case and documentation and fact says this. Not what, everybody said what Jonah Bay says this, because why they're saying that is because Jonah Bay said they haven't been actually big courses. The casework and the source material, all they do is go read Minnesota 220 or 202, and all that says is that the registrar has the right to take the damn documents if accompanied by an affidavit. It doesn't say that they have any power. That the person who's attaching the affidavit there too, it does not say that they're given any power. And still, it's still statutory. You see, it's still in their sandbox. It's all about jurisdiction. They feel that we got personam jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction, we got venue, and therefore we have a claim that can be made out.
Yeah.
That's why they're charging you. And when they charge you, you say you understand. Basically what you're saying is, yes, I am pledging my labor to cover the debt. That's all that there is. I can't make it any simpler. You know, they can come on a call. Like I said, I did have a call with Thomas McFadden, and we were talking about that, and to some degree. But he asked me how I felt about Boris and stuff, and I just told him it's flawed. And I said, I don't think very much of it at all. Not at all. So I've gone on record. Like I said, it's nothing against him personally because I don't know him. But if you all just take listen to these audios and you go back and ask them some basic questions, all you got to do is say, where is this action taking place? Is it taking place in United States' jurisdiction? You say, okay, if it's taking place, all these actions or acts are taking place in their jurisdiction, then that means they have the authority. That means we sure as hell know that the fiction or you are not the sovereign. We know it's in Congress. They have all the sovereignty. So how can you be in? Then that means if you're not private, then you're not sovereign. Then you're subject to their jurisdiction, and they can do what the hell they want to because they got unlimited powers. So tell me, why would I want to go down that path only to be slammed later on?
Yeah. Well, like we all said, you know, we're pretty. I tell people, you know, who don't know anything about this, I tell them, listen, every day I wake up, I tell myself I'm brainwashed, you know, and then I go from there, you know, because it's tough because they hit you so hard, and you know how the schools are, you know, the schools when I went to school weren't so bad. Now the schools, I know teachers there, they're really bad.
I mean, if you just think about, you know, just what I taught you guys in a little time, I mean, that's huge. And these guys are not even covering it with you. They probably, if you were asking their questions, they probably could even answer your questions. You see? Mm-hmm. So I just think it's really sad. And so that's where it is. So for those who are on the call, do you think that's something to do 6 hours, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go 3, take 2 off, come back and do 3, or take 1 off? And then we'll go then you have all the week to have discussions, to interact, to watch the series of videos that I'm going to show you. I may take it to 3 weeks. I can't promise that because, like I said, this taxes me out. It's very taxing, but I will have everything in a package. I might release it as we discuss it, or I might release it all at once so y'all can go through it. I probably will do that. But I strongly encourage you, for those who are going to attend, do not share this information out there with others. You know, they need to come to school. You could try teaching or sharing somebody because once you're going to have enough on your hands. And if you all collaborate and work with each other and try to go through the study groups that, like out of Arizona and Ohio that I participated in, it will take you to a whole nother level. And I'm telling you, it will set you at peace because you really see it. And then when you listen to these politicians speak on television, you'll understand even more. You know, right. Everybody's on here. You know, Obama, he's not my favorite person, but I understand he is the one. He's not the one that's paying the piper. You know, it's he who pays the piper calls the tune. And so when I show you these videos and give you an overall picture, you'll see he's not but a puppet. So stop looking at him and blaming him. It's the people behind him. He can't do shit because his puppet masters, they have the invisible string. He does what he's told to do, or else he knows he will be out of here. Okay. It's like people sell their soul, you know. And this is nothing new. When you see it, and you see Bush and all them, and the bloodlines of the Illuminati, or when you see all these videos and stuff that I'm going to show you that you run this series, and then you see the whole picture, you're like, oh my God, You're just going to see that Scripture is playing out right before your eyes.
Amen.
And I'm serious. And so it's just like it says history of all the discipline. History is the best. We reward our research. For if we know what happened yesterday, we can plan today for a better tomorrow. Are these guys and their processes ever covering history? No, they're not. So how in the hell do they have an idea of what's coming in the future? So, all that I share with you,
I really don't want to get involved in your argument, but I think it would be wise if you attended their classes, listened to some of their stuff before you pass judgment.
Well, first of all, I'm not passing judgment, and secondly, I have attended their classes, not their whole classes. I am quite familiar with Winston Stroud. As I told you, Jack Smith was my first teacher. I know what Tony King is talking all about. I've been at this 25 years, okay, and I have been taught by the best, and I stand on what I'm saying. And I am not judging you, and I'm judging them, and I'm telling you, whether you want to let it go, whether you like it or not, they're full of BS. Now, if you want to go that path, then you're most certainly welcome to do that. And,
I'm like the other lady. I'm tired of hearing it. If you actually have something of theirs that you can show,
that's what
here's
I
the error. Fine.
Have you listened to any of the audios? Because I've been telling you that through all of the audios, you haven't been listening. I've been telling you what's wrong with what they're doing.
You just did a little bit on 220.
I did not. I
would like to ask you a question on 220. Didn't you say the IRS views us as infants?
I didn't say that the Internal Revenue Service views you as infants. I said that what you have there is you with that birth certificate, and the child's footprint on that birth certificate is a pledge of all of his future labor.
Well,
and I have a document.
Earlier,
I did not use infant. What I said to you is there's a consigner. There's a consigner. There's a consignee. There's a consignment, and I said that the mother is the informant that something is being abandoned. And I said that should be deemed or looked at as a vessel. Now, I want to address your question because you said that I never pointed out to you what they're doing wrong. Where have you been? If you've been on all of my calls and you've been on this call, I just pointed out to you that it's a matter of jurisdiction, and everything that they're doing is in the wrong jurisdiction, and they're telling you getting freedom, and they're telling you they have control, and everything that I've told you is that they don't have any authority, they don't have any title to the thing that they're trying to claim and trying to control. If anybody looked at that in its basic approach, it says fraud. How can you control something that you do not have title to? I've said that over again. That's what I'm telling you is wrong. That's one flaw. There's many, but that's the first flaw is because they don't understand where they are. They don't understand the plane of jurisdiction. They don't understand that they do not have title. They do not have title to that vessel or to that fiction, which flies basically the flag. A flag tells you the law. The flag tells you what law the vessel's under, and it's under the democracy. In the democracy, you are nothing but a citizen, subject, slave because sovereignty is with the Congress. You are a citizen, subject, slave, and when you engage in any kind of business territory to the United States, that's what you are. You don't have title. What more do I need to say?
I thought sovereignty went to people, so how does a paper fiction get sovereignty?
Because you entered into the contract, you created a fiction in a fictional world, and in that fictional world, you enter territorially to the democracy. You enter into the jurisdiction of Congress. It's like entering into that territory where the sovereignty is in Congress. In the republic, it is men and women who are sovereign. And see what you're telling me by you asking that question. I already know, and no disrespect to you, that you really don't have a comprehension, a full view of what's going on. Because if you did, you wouldn't be trying to make that argument after I just told you about jurisdiction and about there being two systems, and they're not aware of this other system. They're operating in one system.
Which was, how did a paper entity get sovereignty? You know, I mean, somewhere along the way, you said you teach history. So my question is who changed the definition when that a piece of paper could all of a sudden have sovereignty? I thought sovereignty was attached to the land.
No. The sovereignty.
Paper entities have no control over the land, or else you wouldn't bring up that we're alive and we live on the land.
Well, let me tell you this. This is how it's happened. And I'm not going to go into it. That's what you need to come to school for. This is why I keep saying historically.
You don't have to. You don't have to go into it.
No. I'm going to answer your question. The bottom line is, you said, how that piece of paper? The piece of paper did not get sovereignty. And when this country was set up, it was set up as a republic. You have two systems. You have the national government, which basically had control over all of the territories. Before a state, you had 13 colonies, and any state after that became a part of the Union came on equal footing. But prior to that, it was known as territory. Congress had exclusive legislative jurisdiction over that. So in 1861, when Congress failed to meet, it went sine die. So Lincoln had to form this corporation called United States. And when he declared war, it was only supposed to be in the federal territories. It was not supposed to be within the states, but the states did not know that. And this is what basically happened. So essentially, this corporation that was created, it now is in the territory, is not one of the several states. So in there, Congress, which is in this corporation called United States, you have what's called Congress, House of Representatives, and you have the senators. And that is where the sovereignty is, because they were set up to have complete authority over the territories, not on the soil, not outside the 10 square miles, never on the soil. The state of Texas is different from state of Texas. That's what you have to understand. There are two different planes.
And I understand that the states that came in
after. Let me finish because you brought it up, and I'm trying to tell you how you talk about paper. I didn't say that the paper had the sovereignty. I'm telling you that of the 17 enumerated powers that was granted to Congress, they were given complete authority over the territories. And so now, when these guys, if you're operating in the republic, the sovereignty was invested in man and woman, and they gave up certain rights, and they placed them in a trust called the Constitution of the United States of America, and anyone who served in government served as an agent, and they were supposed to protect those rights. And of those 17 enumerated powers, they said Congress has exclusive jurisdiction over the territories. Now, what they did is they got you to circumvent the Constitution and enter into a contract directly with the United States, the corporation, circumventing the Constitution and bowing down to Congress as having sovereignty, and you have now just abandoned your sovereignty, which yours outrank theirs because they're your agent. So now when they got you through contract, via filling out applications and filling out applications and forms and contracts thereto, you are agreeing to be their citizen subject slave. So all of these processes that they're talking about is taking place within the territory over which the territory over which the jurisdiction of the United States extends. There's 3 definitions of United States. You need to look up Hooven and Ellison Evatt. It'll give you all 3 of those definitions.
I know. I've read it many times.
Well, now I'm asking you a question. So the bottom line is, when you enter into a contract, when you read Ashwander, it tells you if you receive any kind of benefit, if you have minimal contact with that system, you are under that system and under their jurisdiction, and you're merely there to act as surety for the debt of the United States. And that's what I'm telling you is wrong with their processes, because all their processes are within that jurisdiction, and you cannot be a sovereign in that jurisdiction. You are a citizen, subject, slave. So the only way that you can maintain your sovereignty is not play the game. And what do I mean by that? Stop contracting territorially there too. Stop entering and filling out forms, and stop asking for exemptions and benefits. Now, that's what's wrong with their system, because they're seeking benefits, and in seeking those benefits, they're reducing themselves to citizen, subject, slaves. Now, I think I've done a good job of answering your question.
Well, where I'm at in all of this is understanding benefits, because I, like so many people, was born into this. Then some man comes along and tells me that I agreed to it. No, I didn't agree to it. I wasn't even aware of it until I started studying this. And were my parents tricked? Yes, my parents were tricked also. So I'm here because, like some of your other students, I'm choosing to get out of this. But don't tell me.
But you're missing what I'm trying to tell you.
I heard what you said. I don't understand. I overstand what you said. Can I say it as well as you? No. If I had your teacher, could I say it as well as you? Yes.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to say to you is you were never born into it. It's only when you acknowledge that you were born into it by giving them evidence that you are, that's when you're born. I have always been in the Republic. I was never born into it. It's only,
Okay, you have no birth certificate, so you were never born into it? Listen. If you want a job, you have to get a social card. If you want a bank account, you have to get a social card. You were never told that in your life?
Listen. That's what they said, but I know that's not to be true.
You know that now as an adult after studying 25 years.
I know that. But the bottom line is here's what I'm trying to say, love. If you don't ever show the activity or acknowledge it, they can't hold it against you. It's only when you say that this is who I am, that I've been here, that this is what I'm doing, is where they have jurisdiction. And I'm always telling you, if you're listening, I have always been in the Republic. I am always in the Republic. I am making a declaration that I'm always in the Republic. They cannot come and say that I'm there unless I say that I'm there by producing evidence against myself. And if they produce a contract and try to come out to me and saying, okay, this is you, I know how to say up front, because this is another transaction, who the hell are you? Because this is who I am. And even if you say you were born into that, you have a right to build yourself political will, to not even acknowledge that and say that you're one of the people of the several states, and they got to go with it because they can only go by what you have created. And if you never produce that or offer that as evidence, neither can they. That's the point I'm making.
The point I appreciated the most on the last call was when you showed the difference between without prejudice. It was like a huge light bulb went off for me. Because I know lots of people who put without prejudice on their driver's licenses. And if they only knew what they had done.
Exactly. And so it's like if I were to bring you into court, I don't give a shit what they say. I got to get you to assume that person that they're trying to get. They're trying to get you to assume and animate that person. But if you're saying that you are on the soil and you invoke all your rights, and you only basically, and that's what you're doing, and that you only contract territorially there too, there's nothing they can say. And what they would do is they would go silent. And when you go silent, they basically have acquiesced. They have acknowledged that you are right, and you just put the nail in the coffin when you say, hearing no objections, let the record reflect. So what happens then is they have to go by their oath, and they know that they cannot come against you, so they got to find some way to get the hell out of that. And that's what I'm saying. When you know who you are, just those simple things, they could never defeat you. Who gives a shit about the birth certificate? Because all the birth certificate, what I'm saying about that, that's all fictional money. And the only way they can hold it against you if you say that's you, or that you say, you're not saying that it's you, you're saying that you're surety for it. And that's why they're trying to say, do you understand? They're trying to get you to say, I understand and I will act as surety. But if they cannot ever, I don't give a damn what it is. Are they telling you, oh, you got to have a driver's license? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if they say you want to have a bank account. Now, let's say you got your documents, you got your identity that's been raised to the highest form of evidentiary value. And when it's been raised to the highest form of evidentiary value, that's a thing that's called full faith and credit. Because they have to give full faith and credit, as you heard them talk about this birth certificate. Well, when you create your documents correctly and the state of Texas or the state of Georgia has created those documents, you say, well, I thought you said that there was nobody there, Tommy. I just told you all it takes is 3 people from the republic or one of the several states to run the state. And when that state does an official act, the corporate state has to give it full faith and credit. So if you're saying, this is me, I'm territorial to the soil, I'm the beneficiary of the Constitution, and here's my declaration telling you that it is always my intent to contract territorial to one of the several states, and then you go in there and you say, here it is, I want to open up a bank account. And they're going to say, well, blah, blah, blah. You say, well, you better give me your legal department, because on the front of your door, it does not say that you do not do business with American nationals. And you cannot discriminate. And you're hurting my private rights. But that attorney, I'm telling you what I know, he tells them you're going to open that account. Because if it gets out of there that what becomes obvious then is that there's 2 systems. So you're saying you're from the state of Texas, and they're saying state of Texas, and you're saying, but your daughter doesn't say that she deal with Texans. Texans meaning one of the people of the several states. They cannot discriminate. They cannot do that. And they know if they do that, they open themselves up to a huge lawsuit, and they let the cat out the bag. And then people start realizing, you mean tell me this is voluntary? After all, they can't stop me from using the common law? No, they cannot discriminate against you, because that corporate entity is in the District of Columbia, and all of those territories were set up to serve the states and the people of the states, and they have to serve you. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, when you're always in a republic and you know who you are, you can always make them kowtow.
Okay, question.
Mm-hmm.
So on the great, let's take the Great Seal. So if it's the republic, then it's going to say the state of Georgia, and if it's the democracy, it's going to just say state of Georgia?
It'll say state of Georgia, all capital letters, or it'll say the state of Georgia, all capital letters.
Okay, but the is the republic.
Well, if it's upper lowercase, and if it's upper lowercase, yes. When we say like the, if all of those are upper lowercase, like the state of Georgia is upper lowercase, then yes, that is original jurisdiction. If it just says state of, it is not. Or if it says state of in all caps, it's not. It's usually going to say the state of. So when you look at your Constitution, it'll tell you, state Constitution, it'll tell you the process by which all, the name or the style of which all process must be issued. And it will say the state of up in lowercase. Now, if it says the state of in all caps, usually anything that's in all caps is all fiction. And sometimes it will just say state of. And even if you look at your county, if you look at most of your fields, they are all capital letters. They're all corporations. That means that they're all political and administrative subdivisions of United States, which is a federal corporation. And if you go and look up United States, it'll tell you what it means. And there used to be a section in there, I think it's under 28 U.S.C. or 26 U.S.C., and it'll show you what all the corporate states are. That is Puerto Rico, and they're all caps. Those are administrative subdivisions. So what I'm saying to you is, all the processes that they're doing is in the wrong jurisdiction. It's not leading you to freedom. You already got freedom. They notice. That's why they have to lure you in to sign all this stuff. But if you know you're outside of it and they approach you or they're encroaching and you know how to stop them dead and go on their fences, they don't bother you because they know that you know who the hell you are. And see, the objective is once you get the foundation, you understand all this stuff, how it goes together, then we go and put it in the computer. The computer is no different than TRW. TRW says that when you have information in the computer that's computed to be harmful, you have a right to correct it. You also have a right to do that in their LING system, which is called Law Enforcement Information Network. Okay? You have a right to enter correct information. Well, what are you going to be entering there? Well, if we successful and we get the American National Passport from the Secretary of State, all those documents will go, and they'll go to their computer system, and they have to give it full faith and credit. They have to enter it in this system. So, therefore, whenever they come across you, or because you handled the registration on the car properly, that's in the system, and do not detain because you handled the contract in the beginning correctly, telling them who you are, and they have a duty to protect you. It's the same thing if you were given what looked like to be a driver's license, it's not a driver's license. So I'm saying all of the somebody needs to mute up. Can somebody please mute up? Hello?
Access code accepted.
Okay, I guess they did it. So that's what I'm saying. You always had the power. You don't need to do those processes. If you understand, you got that Constitution right there, and what they're hoping is nobody's home. Nobody will inflict that document on them. That's what they're hoping. And that's why they're trying to go with the national ID card, because the national ID card, what does it tell you? It says you're a national of one of the corporate states, and they feel that therefore you're one of theirs. That's what it's all about. And I'm just saying, don't go there. Don't play the game. Stay home. Stay in the republic where they know that you got all your power. But you got to know that it's there in order to do that.
So I have a question on your passport. On the page where the picture is, there's a list of little words across the top of the page, and the one just to the right of the picture says type. Does it have a P under it, or does it have another letter?
Well, see, on that in terms of the passports, we would be going, once the foundation is there and the documents are placed there, we would be going through those channels and filling out those forms. Our documents will go directly to the Secretary of State, and she will assign those. Whomever she assigned those to has the authority. There's a special office within her department to issue a passport for American nationals, not U.S. passports. Okay.
Right, I know, and I know some of them that are done changes the P changes to an N, and some of them it doesn't. So I was just curious.
But see, you have to understand is, but sometimes that N stands for a U.S. national. A U.S. national is different from an American national. See what I'm saying? A U.S. national.
Yeah, I got it.
You see what I'm saying?
Somebody,
so
U.S. national, that is still going to have the P on there. Okay, got it.
Yeah, or U.S. national basically means that you're from Samoa, the island of Samoa somewhere. It could be one of those. But we're talking about an American national passport because their system is insular. They can't see it. We send ours to the Secretary of State because the Secretary of State serves in a dual capacity. She can serve for the republic, and she can also serve for the democracy. But since it's deemed that nobody's at home in the republic, she has to carry out the duties.
Right. All right.
Now you see
okay.
what I'm saying?
I have to say goodbye. I have another obligation. Okay. Thank you very much. I look forward
you're
to
welcome.
your email.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Whew, boy, you got yes.
Yeah, to finish off on her answer, what is the insignia
Sherry, can you turn down your radio? I think we're getting feedback.
I don't have a radio. That's someone else.
Can everybody star 6, please? Okay, what you saying, Sherry?
What do you look forward to when you get a correct American national passport? Is it a different color cover, or is there a number or a letter that insigniates it?
No, it's been some time since I saw one, but it's nothing like your U.S. citizen passport.
Okay, so I have to surrender the one that I have, or would they make it a correction just for about 2 pages?
Well, how can they? They don't have the ability to address an American national. That has to be done through the United States Secretary of State. You can't go through the Transport Department.
I have to surrender.
You return it in. Why? You're not going to use it. You don't want to identify as a U.S. citizen.
No, but I want to get rid of it the correct way. That's what I'm saying.
But yes, you return it to them. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also, give me your email. I've been trying to locate your Skype name, and I can't find.
My Skype name is TNT Rep.
TNT what?
R-E-P.
R-E-T. Okay.
R-E-P.
Okay, TNT-RET.
Yes, and Paul.
I know I've got another question. I can't think of it right now. When are you thinking of doing this class so I can look at
I'm trying to give everybody 30 to 45 days. I would like to move a little sooner. I guess we could have calls where if anybody comes up and they want to deal with some stuff, I'm not going to do that much teaching. I really, gave some insights. I hope tonight that I was able to show you where their flaws are, as opposed to someone just thinking that I was just bad-mouthing them. But I hope that I showed you through this lengthy call and the number of ways in which their processes are flawed. Number one is taking place in their own jurisdiction, and they're trying to claim power that they do not have. It's impossible. They don't have it. The only power you have is when you don't play the game and you stay in the republic. That's my point. That's just one point, okay? There's many more. But if you don't know who you are, where you are, and what you're dealing with in the two planes of jurisdictions, you're trapped.
Okay. I am interested in the court soul. And also, how does one overstand? Right now, I have to travel. I've got my car in storage. I don't have their ID on my car. I've got the common law, the American National People's Court tag. So, but as far as insurance, I do have a bond for lost title. So I bought it, but I never registered it, but it was pre-owned. So I have to look at how do you handle not insurance, not going with the master bond with the surety. How do you buy insurance and then overstand the contract with? I mean, how do you work this stuff?
Sherry, I can't even go there till I give you the foundation. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
we have the solution to that. Once you get the foundation, you'll see how all of that falls into play.
Okay, when can I talk to you on that? Because I'm looking at a timeline that's crunching, money crunching. It's like, my life is just over exploding right now. So if I could get a grip on just a idea on how and when I can.
It will probably be answered. A lot. Like I say, with this foundation, many of your questions will be answered. You don't have to give it directly to me. Once you see the foundation and you see how everything's going, and then you say, "Oh wow!" and your interaction with others from the course, they'll share their information with you. I'll be auditing. Your answer may come to you much sooner than you think. All I'm saying that the foundation, of course, that's the most important one, because you just start beginning to see the possibilities. Not say the possibilities, I should say the reality. Rather than seeing the appearance of reality for reality, you actually see reality, and you realize you got so much power.
My life now. Can we keep the support system, the study group, longer than the few weeks? Or are you going to cut that off?
Yeah, of course. This is a school. This is a school, and I teach modules. You see, and that's what it's designed for. I'm not looking for everybody. I'm not trying to get everybody. It's only for those who attend the classes. It's, that's what it's for. The study groups are for. So
I want them as now. I just want to. who's ever on this call, I want you as my family. I want to integrate you into my life so that we can bounce off of each other, and hopefully we will love and respect and honor. So anyhow, I just want to get that off my chest, but I don't want to lose the context because there's no one to talk to about this stuff.
Even after David Clear, even after Ohio and Arizona, the groups were doing pretty good until got on there. Until people got on, certain people. Well, he got on there and disrupted them. But I can pretty much guarantee you that they'll be ongoing because there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there like this. And when I say a number of things, and that you're not getting the foundation, you're not getting someone who's going the extra mile to make things clear for you, to help you with your comprehension. And but I'm glad the lady who asked the last call, she asked me that question and made me go back over it again, and I was just trying to basically show you I'm not bad-mouthing you, nor am I, I'm not bad-mouthing anybody. I'm just trying to persuade somebody. I'm just showing you where they're flawed. And if you go back over this tape, and then you begin to see, oh, my man, it's occurring in the wrong jurisdiction. Your protection is in harmony with the laws of nature of God and his jurisdiction. That's why he gives you protection, and the system knows that it cannot encroach, or it will be slammed. That's why they got you to get you to leave and abandon. But a lot of the questions that you're asking will be answered. I want to open up the call because this, you guys you worked me tonight. So if there's any other questions out there, so we're looking at 30 days basically, minimum 30 to 45 days. We'll probably have a call next Thursday. We'll let you know. But I think I've laid enough foundation to give you an idea of what's going to be covered and where we're going with this tech, with the school, and of course this particular module, and that I know what the hell I'm talking about, and I can support it with plenty of documentation. I've given you cases, I've given you the words, I've given you blacks. Even if you look up the words in Black's Fourth, often they will cite a case. You can go pull up that case and see exactly how that term is being used. Okay, so everything I've shared with you, I meant that those are, just look up the words, because once I give you the list of words, those are going to be lessons within themselves, and you all have to work with each other on that. You'll see, and the more you understand it, you'll see that more and more becomes visible, and that's about it. So all of you, please contact me because with that, contact me via Skype. So I think I have a mailing list that I can send out that I have, but I don't want to bother everybody. But the purpose of this call was to demonstrate, there's no bars, no holds barred. And I wanted you all to come forth and challenge me, and we'll put it there. And I think you all did this tonight. So from the other two previous calls and the documents that I sent out, that should be convincing enough for you to understand the importance of why you need to attend this module or attend this school, because you will have the support there. There's no way you're going to get all this in 3 days, in a week. So that's why I'm making myself available. And then there'll be other things that can take off and be done for this. But I just ask that you who are attending the class and the class materials that you receive, do not share with these people out there, because their motive, many of them, their intention, their motive is profit, to make money. And my thing is to teach you how to be independent, to teach you the knowledge, and allow yourself in God, and know that you got the confidence, because it's been shown to you there's no guesswork. You're learning how to use the dictionaries. You're learning how to read the cases. You're learning how to perform the due diligence. So before we end this call, is there any questions or any statements? Go ahead.
Tommy, can you hear me? It's Andrea.
Yes, Andrea.
Just to clarify so there's no ambiguity, you've mentioned several times that there are several modules, and you'll be teaching things in modules, various topics. And you're talking about this 6 days worth of school right now over 2 weekends.
It may go another week depending on how. It may not go as long, but it may go another week, because I want to make sure you understand. Yes.
Just for this bunch of time we're talking about here, 2 or 3 weekends, whatever. Are we talking about all the modules, or are we talking about the first module?
Hell,
what are we talking about here?
Are you trying to kill me? You're trying to kill me, aren't you?
I'm a quick learner. What can I say?
No, it'll be different. It'll be different modules, but it'll be.
I just use that tap on the back of my head. I plug it in.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. And guys, I'm saying even if they're doing the commercial processes, it's fine. But I just want you to know where your power is, where your power is. You've always had it. It's not as complicated as you think it is once you really begin to see this thing, because they've done a great job. They've gone beyond the call of duties in making you never discover who you truly are and what your powers are. And all my hopes are is just to lay the foundation, and then you'll be able to see. Because I'm telling you, Andrew, I have in my possession right now a document that just blows it away. I mean, the guy's right on point. He knows. And he even talks about what they're doing. He even talks about being reverse abuses, but he doesn't suggest it. And the reason why, and he's right, and the reason why I say that is because time, place, space, and plane of jurisdiction. And he himself says that. And that's what I'm trying to get you all to know. That you got power like you wouldn't believe, and you don't have to go there and, get involved in that illusion and expose yourself to liability unnecessarily. You have what you need to get what you want.
No,
just have to be familiar with it.
That. You might be familiar with the letdown that many people felt after Arizona, and I just thought it would be nice to be very clear on what exactly is going to be involved in each of the modules and what is not going to be involved.
Well, I'm telling you what's going to be involved in this module is as we talked, who you are, where you are, and what you think you're dealing with in much greater depth. We're also going to be looking, not only that, in this course, we'll be looking at the works and things that others have done. We'll look at cases that I want, not that you have to read all the cases, but I want to show you where to go in these cases that I cite. I want to, point out to you what's the importance of that case and how it is to be used and how it's to be applied. Then the other modules, they'll deal with things. I haven't decided how I want to do those because there's so much damn information. I've got so much information and so many topics that I want to, but I'll develop that. But it'll definitely show you, it'll go much further once you have the foundation and I'll lay it down. You'll see how it's done. I mean, you'll begin to see how to deal with, like I said, we deal with automobile registration. We deal with, the sales tax and property taxes. And then there'll be something on corporation sold. But I'm very, very, that comes at a much later date because I have to really give that some thought because that's something very delicate and has to be used in a proper way. Yeah. Proper way. So as I figure out what those are, I'll let you all know. I don't plan on there being 10 or 15 because I don't. This, like I said, this stuff is very, very taxing. But for those who come in, they will not be able to, basically attend those other modules, whether it be 2 modules or 3, because we got to deal with declarations, we got to deal with identity documents. That's what I really would like to follow up. I would like for that to take place, in a sense, afterwards, after this first one, because then once you have that in place, then that's where you can take care of the automobile registration, the land registration, the sales tax, and the whole bit. Those are, and then you go into the corporation sold, and that is a thing that allows you to be in the world and not of it.
What is your contact number?
I will give out my phone number because I only receive phone calls. The best way to get a hold of me is Skype or via my email.
Either give me a phone number or email, whatever.
Yeah, my. Are you on Skype at all?
No.
Okay, well, my email address is P as in Paul, H as in Hog, E as in Emmanuel, N as in Nancy, U as in Underdog, M as in Mary, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, L as in Larry, the number 1 at hotmail.com.
What was the letter after the M? NUM. What's the next one?
It's phenomenal. PHENUMENAL, the number 1, at hotmail.com.
Yep, got it.
Okay.
Just to go back to that, Tommy. So we're going to be talking about the foundations, but we're not going to be creating any kind of identity documents in the first module.
Oh no, but you'll start kind of, because see, that's involved, because you remember now, when we talk about identity documents and all this, remember what I'm going to say. You've heard me say this.
It takes
the people are the state. It takes 3 people to run the state.
Yep.
And when the state does an official act, it must be given full faith and credit.
Yep.
It can't be questioned. And once those documents are in place, then we take those and we engage the Secretary of State to get the kind of document back that we want. And then we take that document and we take it to certain places where the matrix is located, and we tell them, take it. And if they refuse, then they're not in office, because it says that they must give it full faith and credit. And when one of your highest-ranking officers, it has her seals on it, has been authenticated to the highest form as to who I am, and my declaration is also in there, you better put it in your system, because now, not only have I expressed my will, and I told you where I am, and I've invoked the Constitution, I have also, on another level, invoked the protections of God. So cross that line, if you will, because God is anxious to kick your ass. That's the way I look at it. Because he says, you think I come to make peace, but I come with a sword. He's given us grace period to make that separation. And all that don't is going to suffer the wrath. And so the way I'm trying to share this information with you guys and teach you all is so that you don't have to be confrontational with the revenue officer. You just have a little smile on your face, because you know how to do the jiu-jitsu move on him. You know how to do it with the signature. You see, you know how to do the counterclaim where he doesn't even have an idea what's going on. And then when it says you promise to appear, well, you already put on the ticket where it says you promise to appear. We put on there special appear, and then we do our little signature thing, and then when it comes to the court date, we've already entered our answer in there, and once they read that, it's not going anywhere, because we're basically saying this is where we are, this is who we are, and what in the hell right do you have to come over here and try to run your commercial scheme? I deny that you have no powers according to the 17 enumerated powers. Keep your ass at home. So based upon subject matter jurisdiction, personam jurisdiction, and venue, based upon those conditions preceded, I suggest that you take this matter and go away, because you don't even have to say it. It's implied treason. Okay? I just gave you a huge weapon right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to go and fill out no damn form. Get all that. That does it right there. And when they see that, like, oh hell, boy, did he go on the offensive? He did not go on the defensive. Now, what did I do? Via special appearance and via my document that I put into the court, because that acts as an appearance, it's a special appearance. And what I've done is I've done a direct attack on that by telling them, and after I get through with all that, after I named all those things that I just said, and I'll say based upon the conditions preceding, I do not plea. I only contract territorial to the United States of America, and they can't make you. So since you refuse to enter a plea, and you basically told them who you are, you invoked your rights, powers, and privileges, by basically saying you're one of the people, it stops it dead. What did I just say? The secret to winning the game, if the winning move is not to play the game at all.
Mm-hmm. That's
huge. Trust me, it is huge. And when you start thinking like, oh, is that it? You mean I have to go through all this? And you're absolutely right. God told you, gave you power. They just didn't want you to know it. Just always remember, the key to figuring this thing out is whatever they're telling you to do, just know that you should be doing 180 degrees opposite. That's the key. That's one of the keys to figuring out all this stuff. Now, anybody else out there? So I take it now that everybody out there knows and understands and is ready to go to work and whip this system's ass. Is that correct?
Sure.
Hearing no objections, let the record reflect that everybody's ready to go kick ass. You didn't say you guys didn't say anything, so apparently you agree. But anyway, they fail to see the humor in that, Andrea. That's how the system does it to you every day. When you don't say anything, they feel that they got you.
I just think you outlasted us. You were put through the ringer tonight.
Say what now?
You were put through the ringer pretty good tonight, so you know.
Oh, what's not? I'm telling you. I feel like hamburger meat over here.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's good. It just makes me a better teacher, and it also, and that's probably why my blood pressure's high too. But anyway,
the student who learns the most in the class is the teacher.
Well,
yeah.
So on that, so I just hope that this night was, and I strongly encourage you guys to review, because I gave you a lot of tidbits, and if you look those words up, and man, I'm telling you, the light just really goes off, and you start saying, damn, I got this much power. And like I said, the pen is mightier than the sword, and that's what this is proving out to be. You don't have to go through all this esoteric stuff. It's right there. God gave you the power, and that's what they never wanted you to do. Don't you understand why they're taking, religion out of the schools and all these things? They don't want you to have any connection with God or the laws of nature at all.
Hell, they put religion against religion and have us killing each other over the same God.
Well, see the thing, exactly, because it's all about, there's no one path to God. If he's omnipotent, if he's powerful, all-powerful, ever present, there's no one set. The bottom line is, you are not what you say you are. You are is what you do that makes you what you are. If you tell me, if I come to see you, you tell me you're a chiropractor, and I check you out, and every time you've done an adjustment, I see of the 15 adjustments that you've done, you broke your patient's neck 15 times in a row. Do you think the hell I'm coming to you?
Only half the amount of times I did that. I'm not that bad yet.
Well, anyway, I tell you better go out there and get you a couple of farm animals to practice on before you get around in my neck. But anyway, and that's what this is all about. Someone taking the time, and I must say, the lady when she pushed my button, but I'm glad I got my composure, and I just want. Okay. Hey, you guys are really taking advantage of this time to beat me up, huh?
that was a good
light tap.
But they're gonna beat us up.
Oh yeah. But anyway, since no one so I'm saying just send me something via Skype, because we might use Skype as a medium too, because there may be some things that I want to show you, and it doesn't require you to have to download software and all that stuff, and some things you could be able to see. So we might use that, and then we'll have a session where if I use Anytime Meeting or GoTo Meeting, I'm not sure if I'm going to use those as a medium. Maybe another one, but I want to kind of be.
Something that doesn't require long distance phone calls would be nice.
Excuse me. Well, that may be something you may be able to do on Skype.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Skype.
I may be able to do Skype, or if it's not too much, I would have to see of those who attend, if I could do an 800 number or something like that for those who are not in the states, or what have you, not that be a problem before I be able to make arrangements on that. So I'm trying to make those mediums, and I'll have the donations, and we can do it via Skype or PayPal, just through to the school.
Well, they have freeconferencing.com, but I don't know if they have an 800 number.
Well, freeconferencing.com really doesn't
You can go through
allow
the
me.
internet, though. Can't you with that?
Yeah, but it doesn't. But see, freeconferencing.com, a lot of people are not that computer savvy, and you have to download the screen sharing software, and they have to make sure it's installed. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to simplify that process as much as possible, because I don't want that to interfere with the school time and class time, and I want to make that as that's what I'm doing right now, trying to make that as possible. So I'm putting together. I want to be able to control who comes on the call. I want to see if these are not somebody just getting on the call and not know who they are. So I want all that in there. So if I recognize somebody that's not supposed to be on the call, they immediately get X'd out. And I'm trying to upload Blacks 4th and 5th and the court cases. Some of them I would already have looked up for you in the package, in the course material. So then as we go over them, I don't want you all to just read it and then we come back and talk about it. I want us to be able to kind of go over the specific points directly. We can read it all together to make sure that people, if they may not get it right then, at least, kind of get as much insight into it as possible, or to see how it's to be applied. Say, should you attack or should you decide to go on the offensive? You have that there. And so those are some of the things. And then there are the videos that you have to watch on your own, because you'll begin to see some things. You'll begin to see how there is a 10% of the population that manipulates the 85% and only the 5% know. And who is the 5%? Is the 5% of those who know about the two jurisdictions. Those are the ones that know.
The two jurisdictions is God's jurisdiction. That's where we overstand all, which would be the de facto. Even the Constitution, correct?
Yeah, the Constitution could have gotten there unless you gave the Constitution. You have to understand the Constitution of the United States of America is a trust. It's a trust, and the people put rights in that trust as property, and their rights were to be protected by the agents, and that's anyone who takes office. They're supposed to protect those rights. And what they did is they gave Congress 17 enumerated powers, and then they also, on the state level, they gave the state representatives or the agents limited powers. All the power came from the people. That's what Chisholm versus Georgia says. You're sovereign. You're sovereign without citizens, without subjects. That's what happened in the Treaty of Paris. When the king bowed down, he says, basically, you're sovereign just like me.
Okay.
But the British still don't understand it today, because they still kiss the Queen's ass, and they live in abject poverty. You talking about spy cameras and everything? I mean, they just don't get it.
Well, there's a lot of work to be done. I do have some dictionaries actually online here.
It's work to be done, but it's not. I'm telling you, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. It's fun, and I guess, and I don't know if Joyce and them are still on the phone, but they can attest to it. We had some fun. We have fun. We really do, and and that's where you have to look at it.
Is there going to be any point in this foundation work where we can establish or begin, or even possibly thereafter, complete our status and our standing to be implemented with the notices? Can we at least look forward to that with our foundation class? Or are you thinking of that?
The foundation, you just have to listen. In the foundation class, you'll be given elements. You'll be given the elements that need to be addressed in your identity document and in your declaration.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll give you cases, and each one of those cases, there probably may be a word that you need to focus on, so that might want to be in the heading of your document. We talk about domicile. It might be something you want to deal with. We want to talk about money. That's something you need to deal with. Talk about nationality. Those are something that might need to be covered. Now
we're going to be creating this from scratch, or
that's not going to be coming in this first module. You got too much to cover in this first module, even before you begin to go there, because in the declaration, you always heard me talk about time, place, space, and plane, and everything in the document that you're going to have to create has to be consistent, or has to be in line with time, place, space, and plane of jurisdiction. See, everybody thinks that SS means sworn and subscribed. SS does not mean sworn and subscribed. SS means statement of venue. And you all might want to look that up in Black Fourth, what statement of the venue means.
Okay, now this is going to go back to the point of our first breath, can it? I can see that it's going to go back to our first breath.
The bottom line is you're saying, how about this? You never left the Republic.
I like that. Okay, I want to bring in one more little twist here. Okay. In New Zealand, they established that all living beings, all animals, are sentient beings. So I want to put that under my umbrella as far as sentient beings with my family members, no matter what species they are. That's going to be my forte, life and peace. So is there any way that I can incorporate that, an overstander or a steward to the sentient beings that, I've been blessed with? Just a twist of
the bottom line, I don't think that's even necessary. I don't think it's even necessary, because if you're the stewardess, we're stewards and stewardess, and your document basically tells who you are, and these animals are in your care, and I don't know if they've been branded or not or anything like that. You may think that's too vicious or something like that, but when they bear that mark, in a sense tells that mark tells, in a sense, gives a sense of whose control they're under or who's responsible for them. And that's why branding was a mark, and that mark was to tell and give an idea of whom that belonged to. See, most people think when they talk about tattoos, they think it's body art, but biblically, when the slave was given an earring or they were given a tattoo, and it was really the mark. It was the mark. It was really the mark, and that's what they did with the baby's footprints. And it's your mark when you put on there your signature. They call it your mark.
I wish I did the mark on my baby's footprints, but no, I didn't.
Right. Because that mark makes it yours, and especially when you taking that mark and you put in the person's in a record as to what it means, then they can't make a claim. And see,
I didn't do any of that, but it's in a court case, so.
Yeah, but anyway, that's what happens. But what time is it?
11:38.
Yeah, we have been on the phone 3 hours and 35 minutes. I think that's the longest we have ever been on a call. So, if no one else has any questions, I'm going to. I'm kind of pooped, and yeah, you have. Let me tell you, if I had any demons in me tonight, they sure as hell are gone by now. I'm telling you. She guys have worked me. But on that note, I'm glad you all participated in the call. Please contact me via Skype. And if you have any questions, and I could put together a group on there. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to receive like education like you have never received before. Trust me on that. And I'm a man of my word. So on that note, I am going to say good night to you all. And be safe. Have a good weekend. And we'll talk next Thursday.
All right. Good night, Tommy.
Well,
all right,
thank
bye-bye.
you. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye. All right, bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.